insane idea, but if I don't ask you this, it's just, it's gonna haunt me the rest of my life.
What?
You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town.
What?
Come on, it'll be fun. Come on.
Let me get my bag.
What do you think? Tonight's it, huh? Tonight's our only night.
It's the only way now.
Listen, you know all this bullshit we're talking about not seeing each other again? I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that either.
Can you believe it was 9 years ago that we were walking around Vienna?
9 years? No, that's impossible.
No, it was.
I was fine until I read your fucking book. It stirred shit up. You are gonna miss that plane.
I know.
Jesse, this is not a game. We're not in one of your stories.
If you want true love, then this is it. This is real life. It's not perfect, but it's real.
Welcome, everyone. This is Kyle Corwith. So the previous retrospective live streams that we've done are some of the biggest franchises ever created. However, some franchises aren't exclusive to that description. Sometimes they can be minimal, character-driven, introspective, and yes, in this case, romantic. So make no mistake, though, the Before Trilogy is a franchise, because if you have more than one movie, a sequel after an original, then it becomes a franchise. And though this trilogy is small scale in budget, it's big in terms of feeling, relatability, and chronology. So here we go. I'm with Cammie, aka Let's Tune In, and Benjamin J. Slack. And we're going to be ranking the movies as well, even though they're three, and they're well revered. However, there might be some surprises here. So let's get to it. Let's find out. Let's tune in. Yeah? Can I steal that phrase?
Let's tune in. I like it.
Okay. All right. So let me get that right here. Where's that ranking system?
It's like trying to pick your favorite child.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a trilogy this consistently solid, this is where it gets interesting for sure. It's not like it's this
Jurassic
infamous,
Park.
like the trilogies like this. I'm gonna save the goodies for the discussions. I know it's hard not to over everything as a whole.
Here I got what's this? I feel like an old man when I'm clicking about buttons on the screen. There we go. Thanks.
No, you did. You're better than me. I'm like, what's that?
Here's a visual cue for everyone to know who is who. Okay.
Visual cue. I like it.
Oh, and one thing for people who are expecting hard cut, unexpected interruptions occurred, and unfortunately, it's unlikely they'll be able to join us. But we may have a special guest or a surprise guest at the very end, time permitting. So even though hard cut isn't here. Okay. All right, where is the ranking system? So here we are. There's the ranking system. And so we're at the top. There's always a phrase that I like to put for the highest and lowest number. At the top is true love. At the bottom is rooster prick, which is a reference line at in the first film. Does anyone remember that?
I don't actually.
Oh,
I know.
A lot of lines.
There are a lot of lines. Okay, so let's get straight to it. The first film.
Before Sunrise.
Before Sunrise.
Before
1995.
1995.
Before Sunrise. Let me look at the log line. Let's see. I'm just curious just to see what the log line in general is, because I'm not, what other person is going to be, how are they going to describe the movie in one sentence
Yeah.
on IMDb? So this is how they describe it. A young man and a woman meet on a train in Europe and wind up spending one evening together in Vienna. Unfortunately, both know, this is starting to sound like a thriller. Unfortunately, both know that this will probably be their only night together.
Does sound like a thriller.
It does sound, yeah, like it has a negative tonality to it. The unfortunate bit is what makes it sound, dour, so to speak. But so let me clarify. Cammie, this is the first time you have seen these films.
Yes, this week, week and a half is my first time watching all three. So never ever. I didn't even really know the premise. So going in without that log line, I didn't know what was going to happen at all. But I kind of enjoyed that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of history do you have with the movies in terms of, them being in the pop culture?
I mean, I remember the poster for the second movie, Before Sunset. I remember seeing that. I remember when it came out. I remember it being popular, but I just never watched it or knew anything besides Ethan Hawke was in it. So, yeah, so pop culture-wise, I actually haven't seen it that much. I don't know if it's different for you guys.
Benjamin.
But...
What's your history with these movies?
No history. I heard about them growing up, but yeah, I didn't. It's like once I started taking acting classes and studying up on film and stuff. I heard about it, but I actually did a scene at the very end of the first one. Matter of fact, when they're at the train station, I did that scene without seeing the movie, and I did the scene with my scene partner, and we did okay. But essentially, my teacher, Marco, was like, all right, guys, mess it up, talk over each other, anxious energy. And it worked. It made the scene pop. And then when I watched the movie, I'm like, yeah.
This is interesting. You performed the coda scene of this film without having seen the film. And it's a very emotional scene where you're making out, you're hugging, it's intense, you're saying goodbye, not knowing if you'll see the other person again. Spoilers for people who haven't seen the film.
That scene legitimately hurts my heart when I'm watching it. that scene, it legitimately, I'm just like,
oh wow.
Because that's when you've made an emotional connection with somebody, even outside of romance. Let's say a brotherly. Let's say you've made best friends with a stranger. Let's say it is goodbye to a spouse you're separating from or whatever. I mean, it's pretty intense. It's almost nightmarish a little bit. It's kind of that's rough.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting.
Paralyzed. They're walking up to the train and they're both paralyzed. They're just
you can feel the anxiety or the anxiousness rather.
Yeah.
And I started to feel that actually. And I don't know if I have before. I just got more in depth or more in tuned with the movie this time around, when the end came around, it was just I started to feel that anxiousness too, even though I know what happens. It's the empathy you feel as the audience member to look at the scene and put yourself in it,
Yeah, it actually reminded me a bit of a TV series too, because when you get to that point, you're just curious about what happens next. And you want to jump into the next one.
Well, that's a whole new language that we have these days. Back then, when this movie came out in 95, no one was saying that. I mean, maybe cliffhanger, but not the language of, it feels like a streaming series, and then I'm waiting for the next episode or next year or 2 years from now. Well, in this case, it actually does apply because it took 9 years for the sequel to come around, but that's the next film coming up. So this is interesting about how you approach talking about this film, because it doesn't have really a heavy plot. It kind of is. It has its own plot in that each film, and we'll get into how each film has its own, but this one, for example, it is able to succeed because it has a goal or a destination. that you know and are told at the beginning of the movie, which is Jesse has a flight out of Vienna, and that is the cutoff point. And then Celine is going to go back to Paris. So in the morning, they know that they're going to have to part. But the pickup scene, which, by the way, the pickup scene with Ethan Hawke pitching her the idea of coming off the train that you saw at the beginning of the intro, is probably the best. It's easily one of the best pickup moments in cinema. Like, can anyone name, I got to look at the chat. Can anyone name a better pickup scene from a movie? Cammy, Benjamin, chime in here. What say you?
Benjamin, you go first. So you mean like, describe what type you're meaning with a pickup scene.
He gets the girl to go with him, essentially, whether it be a scene where it takes place in a
No.
bar and the guy pitches himself, hits on her, and gets her to go with him.
Yeah, I
What
think
what
that's
other
accurate.
notable scene in cinema has this impression, and it's imaginative, it's charming, it's a combination of Ethan Hawke's acting mixed with the great writing and Julie Delpy's performance of reacting to it. She's a little bit skeptical, but clearly charmed. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. I watch a lot of tragedies and crazy movies, messed up movies. But I can tell you the pickup scene on Scarface is pretty interesting because it's really wild circumstances. Tony Montana's picking up Michelle Pfeiffer, Ice Queen. That's interesting. The movie Legend, Tom Hardy. So I'm talking about gangster films because that's what I love. The movie Legend, when Tom Hardy picks up on Homegirl and she's got the candy and he goes, "Can I have a bite of that?" It's like very charming. But I will tell you, I can't, like, at the top of my head, James Bond movie on Skyfall when he's sitting at the bar with the that chick who's with Silva, who I believe, in that whole scene where he just like dissects her emotionally is pretty interesting, but it's not really necessarily pickup. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm not. Listen, this is a glorious scene, and I think what I like about this scene, and even just the beginning, the movie wastes no time. It's like, bam, right in your face. And I like that. It just immediately you get on it. And it's like even that opening scene in the train, I don't feel like it's drawn out too long. I don't. And watching them interact, like even when he goes like, "Hey, I'm going to the hangout area," leading up to that, it's believable on how she'd be like, yeah, might as well. I mean, either go with this cute American guy with this sexy little red. His wardrobe choice and his hair is just perfect. Is pure 90s. It is. I mean, I can see where she's just like, "Ooh, this is this intelligent little charming American boy." I can see it. Now, what am I going to do? Let me choose between this German old couple arguing or this cute American guy. It's totally believable.
Yeah.
This is such a nitpick, but it's kind of bothered me and never explored or explained. Is Jesse in his red burgundy turtleneck has a hole in one side of it, and he doesn't have it on most of the film, but it's there, and it's just there's something. Did he catch it on something, a day ago or two?
Maybe a cigarette ash or something. Maybe between takes, they're smoking like chimneys over there between takes. So
it couldn't have been an accident, dude, because it's consistently throughout the train sequences. He eventually takes it off when they start walking in Vienna. But I just wonder about what had happened with, his ex-girlfriend that broke up with him. So, because he was hanging out that night, we later learn, he was hanging out with her and her other friends that were all guys, right? And he explains how, I think she was just inviting me there with all these other guys to like push me away even further, which is definitely a passive aggressive move. Yeah, it's such a trivial thing, but I'm actually kind of surprised that it wasn't explained, because Richard Linklater does that. He pays attention to these details, and there's one example in the sequel that I questioned at the beginning that he then answered midway through. So, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, that had to have been an intentional choice, though. Don't you think? Like even by the movie to have that.
Oh, of course, to have a hole
Yeah.
in the wardrobe of a main actor, and Ethan Hawke at the time was very hot, so to speak, in terms of being from Reality Bites and Dead Poet Society, etc. But yeah, I mean that is totally intentional what they did there, and we don't know why. There's nothing in the movie that explains that.
I mean, I think it is interesting if he deliberately allows it to be shown. To me, it works for his character because it's like he's a broke college student. Yeah, he's trying to look sexy with what he can afford, because I mean, even the shirt I'm wearing, it's a button up, but I think this is probably either a Hamdi down or I got it.
Are you sure you didn't borrow that from Indiana Jones?
I don't know. Well, I learned on camera I can't just wear white, so I have to wear cream or whatever. But
yes.
Oh, and also too, something I appreciated about that whole beginning sequence is immediately they're both wearing is like matches the color palette of the train. Like where Ethan Hawke is sitting, like his color matches where it's sitting behind him. And then when they're walking together down the side for the first time when they exit the train, they're what they're wearing matches the color palette of their surroundings, which is a lovely little. That's what I love about that. Like early independent filmmakers, they get really grooved in with like details like that in color. I mean, even the poster. Look at the posters. And actually, I want to have some thoughts I'm going to save for the second and third one. But this is the first one. It's just the spring, the youth. I mean, she is so rosy cheeked, full lips. They're both just baby face, and then the color of and there's a lot of emphasis on color on that first one. It's kind of interesting.
I didn't notice that myself, but it made sense. And obviously, again, to reiterate that all these choices that filmmakers do when it comes to wardrobe is very intentional. It's not like, hey, actor, pick whatever you want from your own wardrobe and bring it to set. Although, if you're like a stand-in, it's kind of that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I do have history with this movie, actually. Many years ago, in terms of like sharing it with someone, around 2010, 2011, there was someone from Italy who visited my folks' house because she was the daughter of my dad's boss. And I'm like, someone from Italy, this is interesting. Someone from Europe. I wonder what she would think about, the Before series. So I sit down and I play in my folks' living room the first film. She puts on like a kind of a poker face, but is laughing at the movie like in a kind of chuckling way when it's supposed to happen, etc. And she's attentive, etc. The movie eventually ends, and I asked her, like, it's almost that scene in the movie where the guy has the remote and he turns it off, the TV, and he's just, so, what do you think? And this is what she said. It was boring.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah. And her qualm and taste, I soon found out afterwards, was it was no Titanic. It was no, that was, okay. Yeah, that's not this movie. The only commonality is that it has a romance element to it. But yeah, it's interesting. Oh, look at this. Hold on, I'm going to put up a comment. Random Ray. Boring is crazy. I take it that it's crazy to call these movies boring. Yeah. I mean, this is the history that I have with these movies is either people have heard about it but haven't seen it. So for you guys, this is the first time watching them.
Yep.
But you've heard about them. And for everyone else who like it's either like you love these films and you appreciate them, or you're that person who just thinks they're boring.
To me, it's the difference between it's like somebody that eats fast food all the time, and all of a sudden you ask them to try like fine cuisine that doesn't have all those preservative salts in it. You know what I mean? They're gonna acclimate, or somebody that's used to overly flavored American food that's always like stocked and shelved. Then they go to Europe and they eat all of a sudden are eating really fresh vegetables that just don't have near the amount of salt or sugar in them. That's literally what it's like. Most people, a lot of people just they're used to watching crap, and don't get me wrong, I love crap films, crap shows. But I mean, sometimes it's nice drinking a nice little fine glass of old wine. That's what these films are, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like. Well, I saw what someone said in the comments. Random guy said it's dialogue driven, and it really is. It's more hearty. That's like the meat of the movie is the dialogue. I feel and they really focus on it. So I agree with that analogy, but it's just not like an action movie or anything. Like Titanic is like love story, but mixed with some action.
At the third act, that's the thing.
Yes, at the third act.
It takes 2.5 hours to get to the action in Titanic, which it does very well at, and the special effects are incredible. The love story is, as you get older, this is what's interesting about Titanic, is that the love story is more superficial than we understood it as when we were younger. When I was a kid and I saw it at age of 7, I think, that one scene's very impressive. But beyond that, the scene, the movie itself, in terms of the love story, I just thought, this is like, it's really epic. This is like, wow, very mature movie about love, and it was very impressionable to me. But as an adult, you watch and it's just they don't really know each other. They really, really don't.
Yeah,
and it brings the question that's asked in pretty much all of these films, all the Before films, is if these characters stayed together longer and got to know each other, that they might end up hating each other or not liking each other. They kind of they dance around that, or indirectly or directly in dialogue, especially in the second. Well, they do it in all of them essentially.
Yeah, true.
True.
It's so interesting. I feel like all 3 films are experimental films. Yeah, the number one. This is an experimental film because the dialogue. It's interesting. I can see Richard Linklater's contrasting philosophical side. He has his American Greek thinking side, and he's conversing with he's exploring the European Hebrew thinking. It's so interesting that the Greek side, the American character in him, there's this cynicism, there's this question, da 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 da. Whereas Homegirl in the first one, and I'll wait because there's a character arc big time. Pretty insane character arc. But in the first one, what's the main girl's name? I can't believe I'm talking about this trilogy. Celine, she's just, there's this really sweet kind of wide open, and there's this positivity and this sensuality, this European sensuality. And it's interesting. I feel like on screen, and as you're listening to the dialogue, you see these 2 contrasting sides talking to each other and kind of combating, flowing together, It's very, very fascinating. If that makes sense.
No, I get it. And you get a different, maybe easygoing personality from Celine than you would comparative to an American woman in the 90s. I mean, you can even compare Reality Bites with Winona Ryder. I mean, how different is Winona Ryder's character compared to Celine? There's some notable differences. Celine is more gentle and tender. She does have opinions, but she also has like an imagination and kind of
like
idealism.
Yeah.
And so does Jesse, because they're talking about theories of reincarnation, and at one point Jesse actually talks about reality television and live streaming essentially before it existed.
It's actually prophetic. It makes me want, Something I thought about. I'm glad you brought that up, Kyle.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not trying to hop on the horse that you just unleashed out. I know, but it's one of the mental notes I took when I heard them talking about that. I would not surprise me, and I could be wrong. Whoever wrote the Truman Show, because that came out late '90s, could have been stimulated from watching this movie. You know? And also Ed TV. And then it's funny, both those movies are goofy, but now with what the world is, those movies, I'm just going to use the word, they're prophetic. They just are.
Well, literally, Jesse says a show where you would watch somebody 24/7. That's the Truman Show. This is 3 years or 4 years before the Truman Show came out. So, and I believe it was the name of the writer who came up with the idea for the Truman Show. I was going to say Andrew Niccol. I was right. Okay, it is Andrew Niccol. All right. Peter Weir directed it. Oh, a little connection there. Peter Weir did Dead Poet Society.
Da, 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 da.
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
And all those homeboys, they all support each other. They all like go to each other's movies and stuff. Like, so.
Yeah, they were probably like, good idea. Like, they probably get inspiration, talk to each other about it. I did write down that mental note as well about the reality TV thing because it kind of blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, are you serious? Like, this is prophetic or something.
Now, they filmed this in 94.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I thought of like Big Brother and stuff like that. I don't know why I didn't actually think of the Truman Show, but that's before, obviously, Big Brother and all that stuff. But yeah, they definitely had it first in this movie. It's very interesting.
It's part of what adds to the special nature of and thoughtful, creative impression that the dialogue has for the film. Like they took time to write the dialogue, and by the way, the kind of the little backstory to it was. So Kim Krzan and Richard Linklater wrote the original draft together because he wanted to have a female perspective. But when they got the actors, Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke together, one, they rehearsed, but also they extrapolated basically their writing talents into the film. They didn't get credit, but they said how there's a significant portion of the script that was rewritten because of them.
Yeah, and they're both forceful personalities too. Because I looked up Homegirl, dude. She's directed a lot of movies and wrote stuff. She's a femme fatale, no doubt.
Yeah, and this actually launched and inspired them to become their own filmmakers, and they did. Hawke and Delpy became writer-directors. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Were you about to say something, Cammie?
Oh, no, I just didn't realize that about... I mean, I knew Ethan Hawke, but I didn't realize that about her, that it spawned that within her. But I like that they gave them creative freedom, especially as an actor. Like, that's great to be able to have input into something, you know?
Yeah, and make no mistake, people they have this wrong impression that these films are improvised. And it's so incorrect. Each time Linklater has been interviewed, and the actors as well, as they said, no, we brainstorm, we write the script, and when we come on the day, we have these lines memorized, down pat. And that's what's really impressive and a testament to all of the films consistently are an amazing showcase to the acting of these two actors that memorized basically 100 pages in their mind and perform it. And I know actors do that on stage, etc. Ben, you know something about this. But to be able to make it sound natural is a feat unto itself, because they really do.
They look like they're improvising the whole damn film. It looks like the cameraman is following them around.
Yes, so this is what I said. This is what when the movie was ending, I just had this thought, this impression that we just watched a film in which a director was allowed to be invisible with a camera crew and film two people walking around a European city of Vienna. That's what it felt like, because it felt so natural. And there really isn't another film like this. I know that there are other films, and I've seen them, and I could show you actually a poster of one of them. Can't show clips because last time I did that, I got booted. If anyone watched the Superman stream,
Oh no, did they like block the thing afterwards?
they didn't block it, but they suspended it for a short period of time,
Oh
and then
dang.
they brought us back.
Yeah.
But
Coming from theater, did you come from theater, Cammy? Like, did you do theater hit background at all?
I did not. No, I mean, maybe a few school plays, but I just kind of jumped into acting
That's
and
theater background. That's theater
yeah,
background. I'm sure. Well, you do that church plays too. A lot of acters did like church skits and stuff.
that's
I've
true.
noticed.
Yeah, I did some church
Yeah.
plays for sure. So
No, yeah. I mean, we're both probably from the South. I mean, that's just how it is. But no, it's totally a two-person play. You know what I mean?
mhm.
That's exactly what it feels like. And I feel like both Ethan Hawke and Homegirl, that's what I say.
Homegirl.
They're both like totally poetic people, and it just crackles. They're both poetic, spontaneous performers. Their hand gestures, you could tell. I'm sure there were some things they locked down in rehearsals, like they were given a playscape for sure, like they were given a fence area to play in.
Mhm.
But I feel like probably from take to take, there was total spontaneity, touching, movement of body and stuff like that. And they really, as actors, if I taught an acting class or was a professor on like utilizing your space, like your technical skills as an actor, both of them are always playing into the frame in such a beautiful way.
Mhm. And that's important to do as an actor, to keep it interesting and to be natural. And I feel like you have to add an element of surprise to your performance. So everything felt so authentic, like they were moving and thinking of things as it was really happening.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's pretty cool.
And I think they did it unlike any other film before and since. I know there's some European examples, but I haven't seen those. However, the American version, of the movies that were inspired by Before Sunrise, this is one. This
Oh,
one
yeah,
came out in the early 2000s and was very indie. Like, it looks like it was shot, and it was. It
Kinda
was
wanna watch
shot.
it.
It was shot with a mini DV cam, and it is low grade. However, there is they took the cues, and I think there's a producer on this movie as well that helped produce Before Sunrise. They took the cues in terms of having a plot, so to speak. It's the destination, which is the midnight kiss, and also there's a little bit more drama going on with the female character, and she's way more abrasive and volatile. So there's a little bit more flavor, you could say, to this. It doesn't have the charisma, like in terms of Ethan Hawke and Delpy. Like they cannot. These actors. I know you can't see the actor, but he's actually been in a few things these days. Like he was in Batman v Superman. Remember the guy in the wheelchair?
Oh no, I blocked Batman vs Superman out.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But yeah, I'm sure it was
Scoot McNairy.
Scoot me. It sounds familiar.
Exactly.
Though. That
Exactly.
name. Wait a second.
Yeah, he was in Argo, Monsters, 12 Years a Slave, Killing Them Softly, Recently Speak No Evil. He was the beta husband.
He
That's
was
what I'm saying.
the
It's like,
husband. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember
he has
now.
been in many films, and he was in this one. I'm going to check the exact date.
Oh,
We're
that's
learning this on the
interesting.
spot. Not everything is. I prepared a lot for this, but there's some things that are just like there's a lot of information to filter through.
Yeah.
I've been studying cinematography lately, and to watch a movie like this, as I'm very much in a time in my life where I'm just like I'm just very ravenous about I'm really consuming just beautiful films, beautiful imagery, being very sensitive to that kind of thing. And to turn on a movie like this and watch this stunning camera work through a stunning European city, and the camera moves, I feel like the film is so respectful to its location and is reverent. The cinematography in it is beautiful. It's stunning. I mean, even the shots where And they did a shot like this in the third one too, where they're by the water. They could have easily just had black, gross water in the background. No, they found a spot where the lighting was streaking across the background. I pay a lot of attention to like background and colors and lighting and framing. And yeah, I was very just, I was nerding out. I was just, yes.
This is another film that is more recent. By the way, In Search of a Midnight Kiss came out in 2007. But the next film that came out was in circa 2014. This was around the time when a certain actor, who we all know, directed a movie. He didn't write it, but he took a script and he played the lead, and he was a big character in Marvel. Chris Evans. This movie, Before We Go, is almost a remake of Before Sunrise.
Oh no!
Straight up.
Wait,
seriously,
what year?
It has Before in the title.
It does. But what year is it? This one.
2000, to be exact. It's 2014. Is my circa answer, and the exact date. Yep. 2014. Yep.
I'd be curious to see that and like as a comparison to what the differences are and how they copied certain things.
I've said before that Chris Evans is an underrated actor based off of just like having a claim for things that he's done. Obviously, he's a successful actor, and he doesn't like need to. He doesn't get recognition. He's a multimillionaire. But the thing that what's interesting about this film, Before We Go, is that his charisma is kind of forced, and maybe it was because of him directing it as well. He just kind of has this this kind of put on kind of grin where he's just like taking everything in stride and everything's okay. It's like, okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the like a similar movie in the same genre that came out this year is The Materialist. He's excellent in that. He's not putting on a kind of demeanor that's trying to be Mr. Charming. Like he's real, even though he does have some charm to him. He's just got more layers and more nuance to that performance in Materialist. But this film, it has good aspects. If you really loved Before Sunrise, it's worth checking out. I don't think it's as nearly as, impactful as this. This is just magical. Before Sunrise is a magical film.
Fairy tale, yes. I
no, but
agree.
but it's real at the same time.
Yeah, it's a real fairy tale, like what you're saying. That's exactly
because it's
right.
possible. Everyone can do this.
Yeah.
Rarely does a movie. It's not too often in my life. Like I think less than 10 fingers have I watched something where I felt this like sensation in my heart watching these characters like fall in love on camera. Yep. I did. Yep. Like by the time they're like laying down in the grass, I literally was like, I feel like such a girly guy for saying this, but I did. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I feel in love with them. I feel in love. I feel the love. I'm like, yeah. And that's in the end. I was just like, geez, Louise.
I want to shout out to Corwith Nadia, MVP of this stream right now. $5 super chat, super sticker. Is there a difference between super chat and super sticker?
I don't know.
I feel so old. I feel so old when I ask these questions. I really do. Thank you, Nadia.
I'm a newbie to all that stuff, but I like the sticker. So
yeah, I see. That's the thing is doing these streams. For me at least, they go by so quickly, and yet I have probably equivalent to like 2-3 pages of notes. I'm just scrolling through on my computer from my notes, and I could tell you the translation of the German argument. I looked that up. At the beginning of the film, they were arguing, and the husband was being antagonizing when he was reading the paper. The woman asks, what's so interesting? And he says, you wouldn't find it interesting, but there's an article concerning you. 70,000 women are addicted to alcohol. And she said, you're the addicted one. Just look in the mirror. And she said, I have a reason. I'm married to you. It's like, so, and then, she slaps. Yeah.
It's funny. As an American, you can understand that crap. And you like, I shouldn't say crap about Germans. I love the German language, actually. You can understand it, but that's like, damn, just the effort to even make. They weren't just doing gibberish. Like, that's good dialogue. Any German person watching the movie is like, that's good. It's real good. That's how Germans talk, dude. They're harsh. They're blunt with each other.
Yeah, it's cool. I I really like, I don't want to change subject, but I really love the concept of this movie getting at the train of like, hey, come away with me for just a night and just like, let's see if we click. And what if we never find out? Like, I just thought the overall premise was really cool to anything I've seen before.
Okay, so did you find this romantic? Like it wasn't like, it won you over.
Yeah, I mean, I found there's elements, but that's the thing. It's like it's real, so there's like romance, but there's also this reality element of I don't know, like even when they question each other, they get a little skeptical. I feel it later in the film, So it's like it's a romantic idea, though. I love the idea, and I love that whimsy of going, yes, I will, like give it a try. Why not? Or I'll always wonder.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey,
I did.
Now go ahead.
No, I did find that romantic. Just to confirm.
You weren't like the Italian girl from 15 years ago that I showed the movie to, and it's boring. Like at any point, was it at all? Was there at any point you just thought, this is a bit long. Let's hurry it up.
No, I didn't. I started to, I really got invested with the conversation, especially, and the characters. You get more connected to their story and them actually like coming together. At first you feel the surfaceness of it because they don't really know each other, but then as they start to know each other more, as crazy as it is, you can really get to know someone with all those conversations. Then you feel like this connection with them. I don't know if you guys experience that, but
what about you, Benjamin?
Ask the question one more time.
So did you find at any point that it was tedious or this particular scene, whatever it was, any scene in the movie was going on a bit long?
No, and this is what to me, I say it's an experimental film. It's an experiential film, and that there's moments in the film you don't even have to be paying attention to the exact words you're saying. There's something about watching these just two beautiful young people with contrasting physical features. Just their chemistry is so crackly that I almost don't even have to listen to some of the dialogue. That I'm just swept away just in the beautiful visuals and just watching this cute, believable situation happening before your very eyes. So yeah,
I fucking love this poster. This poster is amazing.
You what?
The poster. I just love it. It's beautiful.
Oh, it is splendid.
It is.
It is. Splendid.
It looks like a fairy tale.
Yeah,
it does.
So that might be actually one of the prettiest little posters I've ever seen, actually.
And this isn't like redone for the modern age. This is the exact poster that came out in '95. This is what they chose. They were really embracing that. They didn't try to make it look like a Kevin Smith movie. Like it's like, this is an indie movie. No, they played up the romance. This is straight up a romantic tonality right here in this poster.
I actually really like that moment in the film too. That happens later in the film where they got the image, I feel, and I liked it. Liked it a lot.
That image in the poster, that when they're sitting on the step in front of the monument.
Yeah, towards the end. Or was it a fountain or a monument?
That's what I thought too, but I just said monument because I didn't see any water flowing. So
exactly, but no, I really enjoyed that moment because it was towards the close of the film, but it was really cool. So
now there's a lot like that happens in terms of conversation in the middle of the film. I want to pinpoint something. So I asked you about the tear in the shoulder of his burgundy turtleneck, so we went over that. We're actually getting to a few of the naturally and organically. I didn't look at some of these notes, but we're organically getting to them. Let's see. Yeah, so we can get into a little bit of the real life. Maybe you guys don't know about this. That Richard Linklater had an encounter with a woman in real life in 1989 when he was in Philadelphia when he was doing press for Slacker. And he stumbled into a toy store and met a woman. Her name was Amy. And they walked around Philadelphia all night until the sun rose.
That's so romantic.
Aww.
I love it. That's so romantic.
Yeah, that part is, and this is the thing.
I've had experiences similar to that.
Well, yeah, and I want to ask you guys about that, and then just for the sake of time, we can move on to the second. Unfortunately, what ended up happening. Well, first, before I tell you what happened, so the second film comes out in 2004, and when that happened, he had not heard from Amy because they kind of did what in the movie happens, where they did exchange information, but it fizzled out. That's what's in the movie. They talk about how, fizzles out. We don't want to do that. No, I hate that. Hate that. Linklater, when the second film came out, he thought to himself, I wondered if Amy's going to show up to one of these screenings.
Oh wow.
Right, yeah.
That's crazy.
But this is the thing, she didn't. And the tragic thing that happened that he found out in circa 2010 was a friend of Amy's who knew about the story, because Amy had told, her friends, I spent this night with this, probably knew who he was, like filmmaker guy. She told him, her friends, that, he was the director of Slacker. So it turns out that Amy died in a motorcycle accident on the Brooklyn Bridge on May 9th, 94. This was at age 24. The impact of her head onto the concrete, it just was, her spine was done. This happened only a few weeks before Linklater started shooting Before Sunrise.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's eerie in a way, like how they kind of line up, and later on during Q&A, I'm extracting a lot of this information. This is some of the research I did, and I'm cobbled together a bunch of, quotes and information that I've learned. This is one thing that Linklater told the audience in a Q&A screening actually here in Austin, was Hawk told Linklater that she was the source of why all of this happened, why all of these movies exist, and without her, they wouldn't have even have met each other and have been collaborators and done other movies, like Boyhood.
Yeah.
Which is very in line. That kind of insight is very in line with these movies because they're very thoughtful.
Yeah.
You look a little bit deeper. And to a certain degree, Hawk's character, he gets a little pretentious at times. Like, there's an example of at the very end, I think his most pretentious moment is when he says, like, they're talking about if they're going to sleep together in the park, and there's a moment of silence. Celine says, "What? You never want to see me again?" And he says, "No." He's like, "Yeah, I have a realization about, like," and they've been drinking a little bit, but still, it's still a bit pretentious. He says, "I've never been anywhere that I haven't been. Never gone to a movie when I wasn't the one in the audience, or never had a kiss when I wasn't one of the kissers." And I just thought, all right, dude, we get it. Yeah, no shit. Like, that's the most... Ben, you're going to push back against that.
No pushback at all. No. I'm getting excited about talking about this concept because, it's funny. It's no pushback. When I was in my early 20s, I was an arrogant prick. You know what I mean? He completely suits the bill. I was. Sometimes I look at my early 20s stuff. I want to slap him.
It's not about arrogance. It's about fancifulness and just like obvious shit. And then you twist it around a little bit or weave it to sound smarter than what it really is. Because I will admit, the way he phrases it sounds smart. But when you look at it, it's really, he's just being redundant. It's like, I was never in the audience when I wasn't in the audience. Well, yeah, no shit. That was one of the very few, but that's like one of the nitpicks or criticisms that I can have about, the movie and the dialogue.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was so swept up in the steaminess of the moment that I don't remember those lines. And that's a compliment to the film. Yeah, I was like feeling like, oh my God, are they going to do this or what? And like one of the best compliments I can give any kind of romantic story is by the time the characters finally consummate their mutual affection for one another, whether it be kissing or a lovemaking scene or whatever, it feels like completely just like it fluid and natural. Like by the time they kiss, there isn't this drum. It's like they kiss each other and it's like nice, but you're also just kind of like, yeah, of course they're kissing and hugging, embracing each other like that. So sweet, of course.
And there's no music, dude. There's no music. There's no pop music. If I was the filmmaker, I would want to put some stuff in there. I mean, I will admit that he just lets it be. He just lets it be naked essentially and be raw and real. Linklater. He
Art
makes
house
it that
film
way.
at its finest. It's a good example of good art house filmmaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would describe it as art house. It's like there's some kind of like broad appeal to this because it's very digestible in that there's nothing. It's not Terrence Malick. It's not dreamy. It's very matter of fact though.
Yeah.
It is kind of dreamy though. The whole
No,
concept
but
of
they're
film is
behaving
dreamy.
realistically. They're speaking realistically. You can have this interaction, and this is one question I wanted to ask you both. Have you, on your own, in your lives in the past, had an encounter like this
Yeah.
with someone where you walked around all night, spoke for hours on end unexpectedly?
I mean, I haven't had this particular scenario. I've had like really great conversations, but nothing to where it was like just walking around all night, you know. That's why I was taken with the concept because I think it is really whimsical and cool. And not many people act on that kind of idea, you know. Like, why don't we just forget our plans and go do this, you know?
I mean, as we get older, that kind of spontaneity is, we kind of leave that behind and see that as reckless and uncomfortable. But I think I like looking back at this kind of film to remind myself of like, even if it's not going out all night with someone else and maybe you're doing something on your own, that you just be spontaneous and do something unexpected, you know, even if it's out of your comfort zone. If you want to, like, one of the things I like to do is that I do is drumming, and I haven't done it in a while. I was like, go out to find a, you know, whatever musician shop and just play some drums.
Go to
It's
a
kind of
beat lab,
trivial.
baby.
What?
Go to the beat lab, baby.
The what?
The beat lab.
Beats lab?
Yeah, the beat lab.
Is that in where
I'm
you're
not making
located?
funny. I'm just having fun with you.
No, that's one of your phraseologies, isn't it? That's your Benjaminism.
I think I got that from the movie Step Brothers. He's
Okay.
like, he goes, this.
There
is
you
my
go.
beat lab. He goes,
There you go.
Yeah, no, but I love that, Colin. I did not realize that about you. I think it's a beautiful thing.
There was one time, but for the sake of, you know, the stream and all that, I won't be able to go into detail. But there was a night, circa, well, it was 2013, where I was rapping on a movie, where I was working behind the scenes, and I and about 5 of us went down to Chicago, drove in one of the production vans, went down to Chicago and had just like, we were hopping around different places. There was this girl that I was crushing on the entire production. And we basically, like, we stayed up until just before sunrise, and I was driving everyone back. And I suggested, hey, let's go to look at the sunrise on Lake Michigan. And I thought everyone would say, no, we want to go sleep. They were already passed out kind of a little bit in the back. But everyone who was awake said, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. So we go there. One person had an emotional breakdown. Like, not like a, you know, he was going crazy, but just like he started crying as the sun was coming up because he was going through some like family issues. And then afterwards, I had like a goodbye moment essentially with the girl that I was crushing on, you know, after dropping her off as the sun had just come up and we were saying goodbye essentially. And I thought it was going to be more, or at least I wanted it to be more, but it was because she lived in Arkansas. Oh. And she was part of the crew that came over to Illinois. So that was my before sunrise night. I actually have creative outputs, let's say, to that. I'm being very vague, but we can, yeah.
Yeah. You just actually jogged my memory of a thing I totally forgot, but I guess because it wasn't fully like romantic focused, but I like drove across the country to go pick up a mutual friend with a friend of mine. And it was just like through the night, it was spontaneous. We made random stops. And that feels kind of like that whimsy of what they did, you know, just like, let's just do it. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll say what I think of the first film after we rank them all, but I think that's the next step of where we go to, even though I'll say one more thing that kind of sets up the rest of the movies is there is a moment that Celine talks about how she expects herself to want to be a strong, independent woman and doesn't need a man, but admits that she truly desires that. That kind of sets up a bit of the sequels. And Linklater and company, I don't think they knew that because they didn't plan on making a trilogy. But yet there are nuggets in this first film that really do foreshadow a lot of what's to come. So, yeah, leaving it at that in terms of the first film just for time, because
we are running out of time.
A Laura Croft
Out of
scene.
time.
there you go. So that's the first film. Let's look at that. So where on earth would you rate the first film, Before Sunrise?
True Love.
Ooh.
Oh wow. Okay, so wait, 9 is the top. I'm just looking at the
I thought it's True Love is like perfect.
True
right?
Love is perfect.
It's 10, yeah.
True Love.
Cammy, what say you?
Oh my goodness. Okay, don't shoot me, but I might put it at an 8, and it doesn't mean that I devalue the film in any way. It's just like with my
Okay.
personal taste of film, you know?
Interesting.
absolutely.
I gotta ask though, what
Respect
is it
that.
about the film that makes it an 8? Like you bring it down 2 notches.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not
What's
that-
missing?
Maybe maybe if you don't mean like in comparison with other movies. I don't know if you mean like with that or like how it ranks as a film. I would put it at a 9, but if I had to compare it to other films, I would lower it. You know what I mean?
I think it errs on the side. I've been reminded by Hardcut about this, is that when you look at these films within a franchise, is that you rank which is the best of that trilogy or franchise, blah blah blah. But there is a little bit sneaks in of like you compare, like I just showed a couple movies that were inspired by Before Sunrise, so it's like I even compared them, and Before Sunrise is the best of them. But in terms of my ranking, this is True Love. This is a 10.
Oh, Kyle.
I have one more
How is
question.
it different from the way that I said it versus the way that you said it, and you make it all sappy?
I like
So
it.
you would put it at a 9? Well, me and Ben rated it a True Love, so
I
it's
think
got to
you guys
sit
should
at
put it
a
up
10.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. And if it's another question too. Are we doing it in the sense of like all of the movies? Is it the best of the 3 kind of ranking, or
We're about to find out.
okay?
Okay. Let's see.
I'm good with the True Love ranking.
I'm gonna pull up that poster. We're gonna get to. Let's look at the chat if there are any comments to look at. Yes, Random Ray agrees. Ideally, True Love. Oh, you know what I'm missing? I have a bunch of clips, and I should have put in from Princess Bride. Love, true love.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
I need to
Should've put
revisit
that
that movie.
Right?
That's a great movie.
It is. That's what I mean. If we rank them against other movies, I naturally do that in my brain. That's why I'm like, wait.
I don't watch enough romantic movies. So like solely romantic. There's romance in so many genres, but like this is truly a romantic film. I don't watch enough of those.
Mm.
So I feel there's a rawness to my nerve coming into a movie like this. I'm pretty bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, I'll put it like that. Which feels good, honestly.
No, it's
See how he has the turns of phrases? I love it. I
Bright-eyed,
love his-
bushy-tailed.
Yeah. I
I
love
like
him.
it. Yeah.
Oh, this is my reaction to this film.
I love this! I love it!
You know what's going on in that scene, King? He's blind.
If you haven't seen Scent of a Woman,
He won an Oscar. That's the only movie Al Pacino won an Oscar for. And people to this day like screech and holler about it, but this is so beside the point. It's a brilliant performance.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I need to I haven't watched that since I was little, so I feel like I need to watch that again.
Oh, it's a good film.
Yeah.
Beautiful score.
Philip Seymour
Beautiful.
Hoffman's premiere film. Very
Yes.
Oh,
interesting.
seriously?
Yes.
Yeah, he plays a preppy
Ah.
douchebag in it. Yeah.
He was my favorite actor for a long
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, he's stunning. He's a stunning poetic actor.
Yeah, he's like the best. I think he may still be my favorite actor.
He's a special, special man.
Yeah.
All right.
Tortured artist.
You ready to get to the second film?
Yeah, baby.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, so I want to say this off the bat. So I haven't seen this film in a while because I realized while I was watching it, this is the first time I've seen this film, and the characters are 9 years older from the first film. They're 32. This is the first time I've seen this film where I am older than these characters, which was kind of
Yeah.
surreal.
Right? I was thinking that too because they mentioned their 30s, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
It was like they're dealing. Ethan Hawke is married with a kid. Julie Delpy has like gone through a string of relationships, and she's dating a war photographer. This is actually the first film that I saw of the Before Trilogy. I don't know why. I don't know why that I hadn't seen Before Sunrise, but maybe I just didn't hear about it. Obviously, I was young. I was about 5 years old when the first one came out, but it was around Oscar time where things were buzzing. This movie was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. It's kind of bullshit that they said adapted because it's a new film. They say adapted because it's a sequel. They always do that. It's a dumb rule. I think.
didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah,
they
but
did.
it got nominated for writing for an Oscar. And Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy, Richard Linklater, the trio, they're together. They wrote this movie. They rehearsed it, etc. Another display of great acting. There are longer takes of them, performing scenes. This is the movie that I saw first. And I remember renting it on DVD at Blockbuster and bringing it back. And I remember my mom coming in and out of watching it. And I think she was intrigued by the romantic aspect of it, which was interesting. It's hard to hold her attention. It was hard to hold her attention, but she had she always had a funny aside about things when it came to films, like, oh, you say that? Of course he would say that. Or like, oh, that woman, that kind of stuff. But seeing it as a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, this was very new to me in terms of, as Ben would call it, art house cinema, right? This would be like my introduction into art house cinema.
End of the year critically acclaimed film.
Right, because let's look at the movies that were coming out that around that year in 2004 for Best Picture, like that were nominated. Oh,
$1 Million Baby won.
No, it would be 2005. Yeah, it would be 2005 Oscars because it's always a year after the year that they're nominating.
Right.
So
won Best Supporting Actor.
Finding Neverland, Motorcycle Diaries. This is screenplay. Why are you showing me screenplay? I want to see Best Picture, guys. Google sucks right now. Best Picture. Show me the nominees.
Oh, The Aviator was nominated that year.
There you go. See, he already beat me. He's shaming me as a host. I'm a terrible host. Okay, so The Aviator, Sideways, Ray, Finding Neverland. That's
good year.
That's interesting.
Sideways.
$1 Million Baby. That is an interesting year. They're small scale films. That is very interesting.
I love Sideways. I think that is a genius film.
Yeah, these are more thoughtful films, I feel.
They are. And
Ray,
it took
I
about
love Ray.
7 years until they were going to start nominating 10 films because The Dark Knight was snubbed.
Ray, yeah, I'm not going to. Okay. I can't participate in this conversation because I'll go down rabbit trails.
No tangents.
No,
yeah, okay. So anyway, the whole reason I brought that up is to, I think I've seen half of those films that were nominated for Best Picture, but for some reason, probably Ethan Hawke, because I grew up watching White Fang. I loved that movie growing up. I still want a husky dog. That's the reason why I want a husky dog, So Before Sunset is the shortest of the trilogy, and it's a real-time movie. You start off with him at a bookstore. He's doing a tour for his book that he wrote based off of the events from the first film. And because it's, it was announced at the bookstore in Paris that he was going to be there, Celine saw his picture. This is all off screen. That she saw his picture, knew who he was, and it actually takes a little bit from the surprise that we could have seen, of her realizing that was him. Again, it's all off screen. She shows up at the bookstore while he's pitching his new book to the journalist, which, by the way, is like, that is complete fiction. A journalist or novelist would never talk about, I'm going to tell you, the plot of my new book I haven't written yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
That's bogus. And then while he's doing that, he looks off to his right and sees that Celine is off to the side looking at him. And it's subtle. It's not like a close up of him and he's like, oh, it's not that. It's very subtly done. And, to even one could argue, it's like he didn't do enough of have a reaction, but
Oh, that was perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
But and I would agree with you. It's like, it's not a movie moment. It's played very realistically, where everything would be internal that he's feeling. His heart just starts going right when he sees her. But when you see a video, if someone actually filmed somebody, in that situation, they wouldn't give a tell. They wouldn't give a huge tell on their in their body language, because he's also in front of journalists too.
Especially if you're used to talking to people. By this point, he's seasoned to talking to people. He also likes to hear the sound of his own voice, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But enough about me.
Any seasoned person, huh?
But enough about me.
What
Because
do
you
you-
said that he likes to hear the sound of his voice. Anyway. Joke didn't land.
No, anybody that's like seasoned talking in front of people, even if they're thrown off, they might show a little bit of reaction, but they'll keep the show going, and that's what he does.
Right, and he does that. He does the, like he stumbles a little bit on his words, but his facial expressions are still intact in terms of he's not making a scene out of it.
Immediately. Oh, sorry. You first.
No. Oh, you sure? I was just gonna say I had the same reaction though. I was like, I thought, oh, what? I expected more of a surprise, but I love that you brought that up, Kyle, because I didn't think how realistic it is. Because he would internalize it. In his mind, he might be exploding. He might get nervous, but he's with people. He's talking to people, and he's playing it cool. But I thought, did they plan this meet? Like, does he know? Like, it was that confusing to me. At first, yeah. So I like that you brought that up, because it is very realistic the way he reacted, actually.
Because it could go both ways of, well, did he kind of know she was going to be there? And it's like, it was vague, as if he knew maybe she would be there. Maybe he got a letter. But no, he did not expect it at all. She was the one who saw his picture on the advertisement that he was going to be there for his book tour. Again, based off of the events from the first film that he wrote, kind of transcribing them. The book in the movie based off of Before Sunrise is called This Time. So, yeah. I don't know if we learned that in the second, but we definitely learned that he wrote 2 books in the third one, and we know those titles clearly. So that is the title of his first book. Oh yeah. I don't think they say it, but you see it on the table when he's with the journalist. You see that it's called This Time. Anyway.
Nice.
Let's see.
It's interesting about his character introduction in this one.
Yep.
Is I had a little bit of an internal knee-jerk response, criticism.
All right.
But it changes though.
Fire away.
This is where I feel like he's the same damn character that he was in the first one. Like, just talk. You just, over explaining, over philosophical. And then it just wants to immediately show callback to the first one. And when it comes to sequels, I lose my patience very quickly when I feel like a sequel is calling back to the first one, because it makes me feel like they're treating me like I'm special needs and that I didn't remember the first one. That's just how I feel, but once they get to go, and also too, though, I have a criticism on that aspect. On the other flip side, the movie continues the tradition of the first one. It throws you right into it, baby, right into it. They don't waste a lot of time. But once they get to groove going and get to their walk-in, it immediately that criticism vanishes, and I'm like, no, this movie's doing something different. There's a poetry to them doing those little flashback imagery and him, you know what I mean? And I don't. Is it okay if I say some more, Kyle? I don't want to hog what I'm.
No, dude, I'm.
Why you brought me on? Okay,
head on to it.
No, and so it's interesting. Their character arc is very evident. Both of their character arc individually is actually very evident in that he is now in his early 30s, and she kind of he carries the conversation throughout the first one. I would say majorly. This one, he's actually more of the reactor, and there's more of a gentleness and a humility, and he's very you can tell he's very, what's the word? He's not. I already used the word revenant earlier. Revenant, or there's the way he's very much cherishing.
He reveres her.
Yeah, he's very much cherishing being with her, and he is not quite the motor mouth. He was only being a motor mouth in the beginning because that he was being paid to be a motor mouth, talking to the masses. There's this. He has found his happy place in the sense he's got his baby boy, and he explains that. And then she's has this early woman in her 30s confidence about her in the way she carries it, and her spiciness and her passion. Whereas him, he's calmed down. There's a fatherly gentleness with his character. And by that point, Ethan Hawke had already had a baby with Uma Thurman, that girl from Stranger Things, whatever. You know.
Tammy appreciates you call them all the girls homegirl.
No,
all the women homegirls.
I like the homegirl. It's nice. But it's true, though. That's a good point. He did seem very enamored with her and just wanting to take it in. You know? Because
what this is the thing about, like, let's look at this for a second in terms of Jesse, the character. This is what we learn. And the movie just skids right past it. Is we learn, at first he lies. You know, he's trying to make her feel better about she not being there because her grandmother died and she couldn't meet up with him after that 6-month waiting period that they promised each other, that in which they would meet up in Vienna again. Mm-hmm. She didn't make it because her grandmother died. He showed up, though. At first he says no, and soon after she realizes that no, this is true. That he actually did. Oh no, you were there. Oh, I don't mean to laugh. That kind of thing. It's like, I showed up. I owed my dad a couple $1,000, but my life has been a nosedive ever since. It's fine. But this is the thing. Just real quickly, she asks him, like, what did he do? He said, I walked around. I put up posters looking for you, and this is the thing that hit me the most is. He says, I walked around for days. I walked around for 2 days. And it's just
so romantic.
Dude, that happens in one line and they move on. There's like a wide shot of them walking, down the sidewalk, and it's like that's a transition shot of, to the next topic or whatever. It's done in such a throwaway instance that is significant. Mm-hmm. Like, we already kind of knew that he was in love with her. I think at the very end when he does the mental picture of, like, stand there, like, he says, oh, wow. And he has her, do the twirl. He says, oh, wow. I just don't want to take a mental picture. Hey, for the youngins watching this, either now or in the replay, didn't have an iPhone back then, okay? No camera. So he takes a mental picture of her. And I think that's when he really falls in love with her in the first film. But in the second, that's a demonstration of he looked around essentially for 2 days for her, or he waited around at that train station for 2 days. He's in love with her. In love with her, Yeah,
and that's very romantic, actually. It is kind of sad they breezed past it. That's what I was wanting to hear. I was wanting the character to say, yes, I was there, and we got it, He was like, I went everywhere for you. And that's what I wanted for them to both, like, meet up. So it's poetic that she wasn't there in a way, but I think
it's annoying that she doesn't even acknowledge that. 2 days. 2 days. Oh my God. He should have, like, if it was something where like, oh, I really connected with this person, I'm gonna go to meet. It could be this fun thing that I can, take with me for the rest of my life. You just leave right away if you're not really in it. 2 days.
Kids are
Yeah.
really spoiled these days. People are so spoiled today. Kids that are like in their early 20s and they have fiery romance with a stranger and catch the fever. All I gotta do is get on damn Instagram. Here, follow my TikTok account where I talk about bullshit.
Right.
No,
You know what I'm saying? That there's something beautiful about that time. That movie is a time. It's a time capsule now. I mean, 2004. That's crazy to think.
Yeah.
I remember being younger and thinking 2004 was so cool. Like, wow, it's 2004. Now
it's
I'm
the
just like,
future.
damn, dude, that's like a couple years before even.
It was 3 years before the iPhone came out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I kind of wish the iPhone had never come out.
Right, but even with this film, like this is an instance in which if Facebook had existed prior to when it did, circa 2007-8, he would have probably he would have looked on Facebook and looked for Celine, Paris, blah blah blah, Vienna. He would have looked.
Oh, yeah.
But there was no avenue for him to do that. This movie and the first film couldn't exist if those things, the iPhone, social media, had existed. And I know it's really obvious to say, other reviewers and podcasts have said that, but it would have ruined you would have had to have made this a period piece. Like if it was, if the technology existed back then, or if this was made at a later date. So.
All it was getting her phone number, and if you didn't get that, you're out of luck. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And it did feel that way in the first film, by the way, when they said they weren't going to exchange numbers. I was like, why? It's just at least something. Addresses. You could. Hey, that's actually a good idea. If you have addresses, you could do the snail mail, and that takes even longer. So there you go. It's like it creates a anticipation. It
does. At least do that. They should have done that, honestly.
Yeah, just snail mail. Yeah. But the reason they didn't is because it creates a drama and a tension in the context of these films, which is it works. Like we're right here talking about them, So, like, what else we got? Oh yeah. So the thing that you guys touched upon briefly was Celine does a lot of the talking. This is the thing that I noticed, and I just have one note. It is just 4 words. It just says Celine is very manic. Comparative to how she was in the first. She's like gentle. She listens. But she also puts forth her opinion in a strong way. In this film, she's very manic and kind of stressed out. But it makes sense. Like we learn why. But at the start of it, these two characters they're very like they're kind of awkwardly connecting. Like it's there's almost a little bit of, for lack of a better word, it's just awkward at the beginning where she's correcting him about, why do you think the world is getting better? It's like, it's not, it's this and this and that. It's like, he's like, okay, calm down. I realize that the world is a messed up place. Oh, okay, thank you.
She's
like
become more battle scarred, man.
Yeah.
She's got more tattoos on her soul. I mean, her whole backdrop of her being in the city, in New York City. I've heard the Big Apple is an exciting place to be, but that place will leave scars on you. You'll experience things that can, also to New York, people are kind of more hardened and cynical up there as a part of their culture. Not a bad thing. They're just very like, pow, 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 pow. They're not quite as trusting and stuff. Straight to business. She kind of probably inherited that experience a little bit. And also too, I just thought about is, so in the first one, he almost is a little bit more manic and she's more stable. In the first one, she still has her grandma alive. Her grandma was her rock. Her grandma passed away. So this time I think she lost her rock, and I think it potentially kind of caused her to be a little bit more emotionally in the wind. Whereas he now has a rock, and that's his baby boy.
Yes, and that does, yeah. Cammy?
I do like how they're both kind of, and that may add to the manicness, they're both kind of hiding something in the beginning of the movie, like their true feelings. She's hiding how she really felt, so she's like playing everything off, like, oh yeah, wasn't that, and he's hiding that he really just like wants to be, well, I mean, I don't know if he's hiding it actually. He was pretty blunt with some things. So, but she definitely is hiding a lot of her true feelings. So yeah, that's something I noticed, and I liked the shift towards the end. I don't know if we're going in towards the end, but I liked the shift of her really like saying what she truly felt about him
Oh
and
yeah.
how it affected her. So
Okay, so the beginning of the film all the way up to when they are walking to onto the ferry boat, all that stuff in between, they're just bullshitting each other essentially, and they're just talking about generalities, which I will say, I'll have to admit, was making me feel a little antsy of, come on guys, get to the real stuff. Because here in the first 30 minutes or so, they're getting reacquainted. But at the same time, they're bullshitting each other. But they're doing it very well by when Celine asks him, what kind of problems do you have, right? And he says, nothing. I can't complain. Like, it's that type of, and he delivers it very sincerely. And it's just like, you believe him, but he's full of shit. It's not true, you know?
yeah.
And
You
she
do-
does the same thing.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but you do believe the characters. I believed her and I believed him, and I'm like, wow, maybe she has grown cold. So
No, it's, yeah. Ben, you noticed that too?
Say the observation one more time.
You noticed that they were, like, the contrast. I don't think I noticed how stark it was, but it was just very contrasting how they started off being fake with each other essentially, and awkward, where they were socially not flowing together. Like, their conversation was a bit, iffy. And then by the time they get to the ferry boat, that's when they start opening up and being real with each other.
Well, I feel like, but sometimes, like, by the time you're in your early 30s and both of them have progressed in their individual professional fields, you can almost get kind of polluted within a 10-year span of social armor. You know what I mean? I think there's probably both of them have a social armor that they've put on too. And there's something about water in this movie. There's something like when the characters get around water, there seems to be this opening up that happens, a flowering, a blooming that happens with them emotionally. Because I noticed, I'm going to wait till the third one, but it's just interesting.
Well, with the first film, how does that connect to the first?
There's profound moments of when they get by the water. I mean, when they walk by and the guy writes the poem and stuff like that.
Okay, there you go. That's what I was wondering.
And then they get on the ferry, there's some, and I mean, also too, that it's effing romantic. Of course, they start just like, oh yes, I did. It's like, of course, I mean, it's freaking romantic. Have you ever been on a ferry? It's so freaking romantic. But you can be by yourself, and you're just like, oh my god. But yeah, I think obviously both of them are scarred and they're full of shit. But I think I'm in my early 30s now, and there's been times where I try to there's been times where I've tried to catch up with people I haven't interacted with in a really long time. In the conversation, the first 10 minutes, there's an awkwardness. There's this like a little bit of an armor shell going on.
There are a few moments where they're going back and forth in regards to, like, in terms of getting comfortable with each other again. Jesse, I think, is more comfortable quicker than Celine is, because he makes jokes at her expense about how she's a communist. It's like, like, commie is. I'm sure you're okay with communist regimes, and she takes it seriously. Where she's like, "No, I'm not. It's not. I'm kidding. It's that kind of thing." That's different from how she would have behaved in the first film, because I think she was way less serious than she is in here. She takes herself way more seriously, and there's also a contrast here, and it's not a mistake, because the filmmakers and Hawk and Delpy would know the first film. They make it so that Celine in this film, when asked, do you believe in incarnation, asks the exact same question in the first film. She says yes in the first film. In this, she says no. As if it's the first time she's been asked this, and says no. Which is to display that she doesn't believe in magic, so to speak, or anything beyond our understanding. So, and they touch a little bit about in regards to, what do they believe in terms of religion. And this is maybe a point of discussing a pretentious aspect in which they say they don't. Ethan Hawke, Jesse says, I don't really consider myself anything. Yeah, and he says it as if it's like this transcendental stance, and a lot of people do say that. I really it guys, for those who say like I'm spiritual, what the fuck does that mean? Like get off the fence. Seriously.
The universe.
Yeah, it's
The-
feels it seems hollow and lazy at best on the fence. That's what, you know,
Yeah.
like
No, I
commit
do
to
agree
something.
with that.
Commit to something.
Vibe.
Yeah, I totally
Energy.
agree.
Right.
He was kind of indifferent to the whole thing, like you said. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not." He didn't really touch on it. Actually, it felt like.
Yeah.
The vibe I get with him is like he's actually, by this point in the film, he's achieved everything he wanted in life except that true burning love. You know, and I think her in her professional field and her passion, that first time you kind of see her get fired up, she's probably seen a lot of videos and pictures of like horrific like dead bodies and infections from pollution or whatever and stuff like that. That will harden the best of them. But yeah, he's just so like, it's just interesting the contrast in their characterizations in this film, you know.
You know, she starts off a little bit prudish because he's let's face it, Jesse's a horny bastard in this. And he explains so at a certain point where he says, I've had sex 10 times in the last 4 years.
It's really sad.
You know, and it's
married
supposed
man.
to showcase, yes, he's married, he has a kid with, we don't even know her name. I paid close attention to find out what is his wife's name. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah,
He's
they left
in the
her.
third film. I don't think they mention either. They just say your ex-wife or your wife or blah blah blah. Henry's mom, his son, you know. And so there's an aspect in which he describes how he's very sex starved, and we see that he makes a joke about, you know, how he would love to sleep with her if they had one night together, if there was only one day left in the world, and he grabs her arm, you know, friendly, and pulls her onto the bench, and she sits on his lap, and you know she's kind of like no, you know, reacting in a bashful, bashful, and he's like, okay, she's not into this. All right, sorry. But yeah, that's true. Like he's very antsy too. Like from the middle of the movie, that's when it happens. He's very dead set. We can tell that he wants to sleep with her. He's I think we know what his intentions are at that point. You know?
I like, it's interesting the concept he brings up, and there's a truth to it. He goes, I always, you know, was interested, you know, there's that concept of just try to pursue your best self. And so he knocked up this girl, and he goes, you know what, I'm going to try to seek out my best self by marrying her and doing the honorable thing. And you got to always give kudos to that. But it's like, as you can kind of tell as the trilogy goes, it was a mistake. He shouldn't have married her. I mean, obviously he accepted being a dad and took responsibility for the kid, but he was trying to do the right thing, and he was trying to seek out that philosophical, like, I want to be my, because they bring up Buddhism and all that type of stuff in this one, don't they? Yeah. And Zen, that type of stuff. So I thought that was interesting, because that truth, that is a real thing. You know what I mean? You try to do the right thing and what you believe is the right thing, but then it ends up almost like blowing up in your face. And what you think is the right thing and the noble thing, it ends up like being the worst thing. Because here he is emotionally starved. So I think like his sexual starvation is really symbolic for his emotional starvation. You know?
Yeah, and that's an aspect to it that he describes to Celine about there's no romantic love. There's respect, and they have they're operating a nursery for their son, but like, what else is there beyond that? And you know, I was expecting, if Hardcut was here, that there would really be pushback about this discussion on Jesse's decision. And I would understand why that would be, in terms of like his decision at the end of, you know, he's already married and he decides to sleep with Celine and stay there and miss his flight. And morally speaking, on the surface, yeah, like black and white, you don't do that. He's married to her. The best situation would have been he leaves Paris, He's honest with his wife. I have loved this woman. We don't even know if he's told his wife about Celine. We don't know a thing about that. But the story is showing us that he has loved this woman. He's been in love with her for 9 years, and he's wanted to connect with her again, but he hasn't had the ability to. So it's a very unique situation. Should he have married a woman? Well, that's something of a good writing in there, where they create a scenario in which he tried to do the right thing, which is the right thing. If you get paired with a woman and you're forever connected to that woman because you have a child with her, yeah, you got to step up and take responsibility. So he tried to do that, but what ends up happening is that it happened within the time period in which he wasn't able to connect with Celine because they were torn apart essentially, because of circumstances, not by any villain, which is something that, there's no villain in these movies, which I appreciate.
It is cool. Obviously it's not the right choice to do, but
Right.
I feel like he's acting on the whimsy of what he felt in the first film. Like, let's just have a whole night together. And then he's like, well, what if we just get together and forget everything else? Because my life, and she's not happy. I think once he learns that she really cares about him too, then he's just, yeah, I don't know. How do you guys feel about the overall ending of the film?
Ben, what do you think?
I was trying. I actually really liked the open ending, quite frankly, because obviously you didn't know nothing about no third film coming off. I like that as open ended. I like that. He could have left. They could have shagged. They could have talked more. You know what I mean? So it was. I will say, they're playing with fire coming into her home like that, but they don't physically touch each other. She plays a song, and they
never kiss in this film.
Sitting on the couch, and the way the film ends with his final expression, when she's like, "You're gonna miss your flight," but he's not like, dude, he's not giving her the bedroom eyes. He's like emotionally he's genuinely happy, and there's emotions, and he's just like, I don't see him just like. You know what I'm saying? So
I want to stop you right there. Cammy, did you interpret that differently? Hold on, Ben. Did you interpret that differently when he said, she says, "You are going to miss that plane," and he says, "I know." Was that what Ben described, or did you think like those were horn dog eyes?
When he said he was playing, man, it was open ended. It was I know, like, maybe I will stay, maybe I won't, and that's in the film ended. I thought it was a brilliant ending. I did.
Hold on, Ben. I asked her the question.
Huh? You did? I am so sorry. I did not
You're
mean
so
to do
good.
that.
Don't worry about it.
I apologize.
I like giving him a little more
No.
shit than usual, but yeah.
No, I think it's funny.
Okay, so did you interpret that as Ben, similar to Ben, or is it he just looked like he wanted to sleep with her?
I mean, he looked like he wanted to give in to me, to the situation. Like, I did feel that from him, that he wanted to stay there and he wanted to miss the flight and he wanted to kiss her. So I didn't feel it was too hard. Like, if I was a woman, I would interpret, he wants to be here with me. He wants to stay. He wants to kiss me, all those things.
Mhm.
So, but the movie does leave it so open-ended. We don't know what happens. We only know because of the third film. So you could watch this at the time it came out and go, maybe he went home, So
I don't think anyone thought that. That's the thing. It's like, based off of that reaction, you're gonna miss that
That's
plane.
true.
He says, "I know." Come on. He's staying. Plus the fact
true,
that
it's true.
he strung along that poor driver Philippe for like an hour. What else does that guy have to do? Does he have other passengers he has assignments for? Who knows? But he was left in that driveway waiting for Jesse to come back down, and Jesse is getting it on with Celine.
I know, I felt bad for Philippe, man. He
Right.
was waiting there forever.
I gotta say, yeah. Ever since I saw the film, I was thinking about, the first, way back even when I was a kid, I was like, what about that driver,
It's true, because you feel this amount of respect, but wait, respect the driver. He's been waiting outside.
Right. Ben, did you
Kinda
think
funny.
about Philippe Come on, think about Philippe.
I
He didn't
didn't.
think about Philippe.
I didn't give a rat's ass about that character. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't.
He was a non-entity. I know. He's not even a character. I know.
It's a fun thought to think of. That's actually quite
Right.
funny. What he's having to do is like, damn it, like how do I explain this to his wife? But no. I gotta tell you, like, I would have believed it if they ended up not doing it. And I believe it if they. That's why I liked it. It was a great little experimental. To me, is experimental ending. I liked it. I did.
Mhm.
Well, it's in the same vein as the first.
Yeah.
There's an ambiguity, but not. There's an ambiguity in terms of what happens beyond that. We know that he's staying. So there's that. Again, I got these notes here that are just like, they analyze what Jesse decided to do in terms of
number two. The best way to
the
describe
inner conflict.
Oh yeah, number two. The best way to describe number two, in my opinion, is it's brass tacks. Because I like that it's 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it is. There's just this brass tacks to it. Like, yo, are we gonna do this or not?
The second film was only 85 minutes or so.
It's short. It's like it's the most to the point, and I mean, even the movie takes place in the span of like what, an hour and a half their time or 2 hours their time, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. Well, the first movie, it's a whole night, so this one's like a shorter time for them.
Well, and something I thought about too, because I was observant of the visualities of the first one, like what they're wearing and the locations they go to and the different color palettes. There's more of a mature color palette in this one that kind of represents their early. I mean, even his haircut is just he's in his early 20s now. I mean, early 30s now. His hair's shorter. He doesn't have the pretty boy hair. He's wanting to be professional and grown up looking, and also to what they're wearing. Weren't they wearing like black or something? And the visualities, it's still beautiful because it's Paris, but it doesn't quite have the colorful palettes. It just doesn't. There's more of a maturity in the color palette, I noticed.
Excuse you, Ben.
Yeah. But as I'm saying,
now, did you notice that Ethan Hawke is particularly Ethan Hawke is skinny in this one, to the point where I thought, is he prepping to audition for The Machinist?
I actually noticed it more with her. I felt like she was
They
skinnier
both are.
too. Yeah.
They both are. Yeah.
I was like, what happened? You guys need to get your, youthful.
Maybe it works for the characters because it's like they probably didn't intend this, but it works for the situation where their emotional starvation is outwardly showing.
Yeah.
For each other.
That's pretty deep.
Ben,
and they're wearing big clothes
like
too. They're wearing baggy clothes too. Clothes that kind of emphasize that it makes them look thinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is a shift with their appearance with each film, which is interesting. I mean, there's obviously the time span, but definitely visual shifts within them. That's cool. I like that parallel representing the inside. Because it shifts in the third one as well.
So there's a moment where she goes off on Ethan Hawke and she says, like, I don't want to get you. I only need is a married man, right? And he says, he's trying to appeal to her and understand her a little bit more. And the line that I love that she says to him is after he says, look, he's trying to calm her down. And she's actually at one point was trying to leave the car and says, like, no, it's just like, I'm so glad you didn't forget me. And we're here right now. And she says, yeah, I didn't forget you. And it pisses me off. That is really great writing. Really great writing. Mm-hmm. To show an anger and a contradiction of a line to showcase how powerful like her feelings are. I love the line. That was one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Yeah. Was in the car, wasn't it? At the end?
In the car. Yeah.
That was actually my favorite scene of the movie because that's when when you really get a big reveal of their actual feelings. Like she almost touches his head at one point, and I thought that really stuck out to me because it's such a relatable feeling of what you want to do, but what you feel restricted to do because you don't want to show your cards, you know, like, oh, I actually really do.
Yeah, but plus the fact that they're, you know, she knows his situation, and would that be appropriate? You know, he's also being vulnerable. Would that disrupt his being vulnerable right there? He's telling her about these dreams that he's having of her, which is another indication of how he's being haunted. For 9 years, he's been haunted about this, the memory of this woman. Now that I thought about it, okay, so here's a real life thing that occurred about a month ago. So I was at a social gathering at a cigar night, and I didn't know this person, right? But we're with a group of people. There was a woman, and I brought up how, you know, I'm probably going to do a live stream about these movies called the Before Trilogy. She knew what I was talking about. And she said, really? Those movies are so toxic. So what are you talking about? You know, wait for it. She said, because it's about the characters that are just like, they don't know how to let go, and they put on these romantic projections, and it's unrealistic and unhealthy. And I thought, okay, like, for 9 years, if you hold on to somebody and it interrupts your life and all that stuff, okay, I can understand that. But Jesse did, this is what they addressed in the movies, that Jesse tried to move on. Yes, these movies are fictional, but they try to show a semblance of reality of asking the question of, what if somebody had an encounter like this that was so powerful they couldn't forget it? And there you go. This is what happens. But then you have like this, you know, quasi-feminist person that I met. Again, I didn't know her. She just like, every time I said something nice about these movies, she did this. She was actually doing what Celine did at the beginning of the movie when Jesse said the world is getting better. She did this. She was doing the. She was doing that, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I gave my pitch of like why this works and where it goes. It acknowledges in the next film the consequences of the choices that they made in this film. So it's not ignoring it, you know?
Yeah.
There are consequences to being an idealist or a romantic, right?
Or at least she had an opinion about it. She was like, "It's boring."
She did not say it was boring. She
yeah,
just said
I
that it was
the fact that she had something to say about
right.
it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. To which then she could just apply to that to every romantic film. Every romantic comedy is going to have some toxic nature to it. There's a heightened nature to every film. Like, what are you doing? Why watch any movie?
That's true, though. All the movies have that element of what makes us like not think clearly or do something, you know? When you like somebody.
Yeah. So by the end of the film, Celine is completely comfortable with Jesse again. She's dancing in front of him without any self-consciousness. And that's when that moment happens where he says, I'm not leaving.
They get drunk off each other. I mean, I feel like I've never been feverish in loving before in my life, quite frankly. It's kind of sad, but I'm like, it is a good thought. I've never been like feverishly in love before, but I can just imagine like you meet your soulmate essentially, and you know, it's like they're getting drunk off each other. They're getting high off each other, you know, and they got high off each other in 1994. And I could see they're like, now it's like chasing the dragon, man. They're like, oh my God, when can I get that hit again, baby?
So this is the shortest of the trilogy again.
I'm sorry.
The shortest of the trilogy again. We can now get to the point where we can rate it. Let's see. Ladies first.
Okay. So to be honest, the first film just feels much more powerful for me, but I do like the continuation of, I like the open-endedness of this and the honesty of it. Oh, gee whiz, guys.
Gee whiz, that's a word that hasn't
Fire
been
away,
spoken
no
since
judgment.
1965.
Yeah, gee whiz. I might do 7, I think. I don't know. I wasn't as it's not like the first film for me, so.
How about you, Ben?
True love.
Wow.
Whoa.
This is what's interesting. I did feel this. It's complicated because the first part of the film is them talking for 30 minutes or so, and it's not a harmonious connection at first, and it's not as enjoyable. Celine is kind of annoying because she's manic, right? And she's also talking about, like, she's almost a precursor to wokies. The way that she's talking about how the world is going to shit, and I'm the only one that can save it, and I have the ideas, blah blah blah, and people like me. At one point, she actually talks about an encounter that she had in New York City when she was living there, when she heard a sound on the staircase outside her window, and the stairwell, or whatever those are called. And she calls the cops out of worry. Guy comes with a female cop. Woman cop leaves, and he says, "You own a firearm?" She says, she's telling the story, like, "No, I told him I didn't." And and then he says, "Well," he pulls out the gun. "You might have something in your face just like this, and it's gonna be between you or them." Right? And she says, "I freaked out and I filed a complaint against that cop." Why? He was giving you a dose of reality.
I know.
Someone growing up in Texas, I'm like, what a badass line for a cop.
Right. And Jesse's reacting in a kind of unbelievable. He did it. No, he was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That is real shit. That's actually appreciated.
Linklater is an old-fashioned Democrat. I don't know where he is now as far as on how far on the spectrum he was, but that's total like old school Democrat like artistry writing. Because you see some of it in Boyhood when Ethan Hawke is going off and telling his kid about politics and stuff like that. You're like, it says everything you need to know about what Linklater thinks. But who's not to say Linklater? Because there is old school traditional Democrats. It's kind of mutated into something kind of newer. But at that time, it's just good old fashioned. This kind of democratic thinking.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I hate to say this, but I feel like I didn't like her character as much in this one. Like, I really enjoy the dialogue of the film and the realness of it, but I was just not as like, I think she seemed sweeter and more open, obviously, but I just didn't really care for her as much, which is sad. But,
it's just like she is more complicated, but that doesn't mean that that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it means like she is a little bit scarred from what she lost, and so is Jesse, but she's handled it in a way of where she's like kind of all over the place, and it makes her come across a little scary. And they point that out, like Jesse points, I'm okay with being a manic depressive activist. I still like you. I still like being around you. And at one point he says, "You'll be a good mother." And she says, "Really? Yeah, a couple of antidepressants, you'll be great." So yeah, and at that point she's actually able to laugh at herself. So it's later on in the movie where she's opening up and not taking herself as seriously. That's great. Random Ray says he would rate it a 7 or 8. Interesting.
I would honestly, I've just from what I've seen, and I've been around so many different types of people by this point in my life, and I've been involved. I've been in relationships with manic depressives. I have a manic depressive in my family. It's actually like really realistic romantic talk with a manic depressive. You almost have to almost kind of go at them hard with the humor like that. Like, I mean, sure, you'll have to take a lot of that. And she's like, it disarms her, and I mean, even like one of my family members, he sent me a sentimental photo, and it's like, I wouldn't do this with most people, but I immediately made this really crass, not want to say nasty joke, but just a really crass joke. And I just knew I could do it. And he immediately came back at with me. I was like, yep, he liked that joke. He sure did. So there's a realism to the way, like, she's just like, oh my God, I feel safe with this man with my crazy crap.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good insight. Random Ray also says a lot of cliche in popular romance movies idealize cheating. So that's really a whole other thing compared to these movies. If you compare it to just movies in general, yeah, I mean, there's a heightened reality to it. But still, we all acknowledge that Jesse did something kind of impulsive when it comes to just like, and he got very excited. Like he's seeing this woman that he's been in love with for 9 years, and he just goes for it, even though his marriage is on the rocks. The other suggestion that I had of how you would handle the second film is to make it look so that he doesn't make such a morally, egregious decision. Is that you would make it so that he was already separated with his wife. But the problem with that in terms of storytelling is you take away the drama and tension, the teeth of that, where it's like it becomes more, other than to say that it's that there's more conflict essentially with the situation, of him deciding like, what am I going to do? And the audience looking at it is like, what is he going to do? So
I gave this sequel a perfect score as well, because I'm the type of when I see sequels dare to go kind of new directions with the characters and with the story, and I feel like there's the same characters, but I feel like they're doing something new and fresh. I get you. In this day and age, I have so much respect for writers and directors and teams that have the balls to make things completely new. So that's why I give it such a high praise, because I'm just like, you know what, good for them. And I liked it. I felt I was watching it on my laptop and my hands were like this. I was just like, oh, this is
yeah.
I gotta tell you, it crackled. And I felt the love again. Like, and once again, I felt that sensation in my heart again. Like, oh yeah. So
one thing before we move on to the next film, since we're on the topic of this one, Before Sunset, many years ago, flash forward with me to when I was early on here on YouTube, when I was a different channel name, doing different kinds of videos, although still movie related. Here's a little snippet of a video that I did in regards to Before Sunset.
Oh, cool.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you believe it was 9 years ago that we were walking around Vienna?
9 years? No, that's impossible.
No, it was.
You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town. And if I turn out to be some kind of psycho, you just get on the next train.
It actually crossed my mind a few times that I might run into you, but the odds are so slim, right? So.
Do I look any different?
I'd have to see you naked.
So that was a recut trailer, which were very popular in the early 2000s or early 2009, 10 era, and it did that. It got some decent views on it, but it's no longer available on the channel anymore. So you get occasionally, if something comes up of a movie that I did something like that with, I'll show a little snippet occasionally. So.
No, that's actually really hilarious. I feel like that's almost a flashback to the first movie, because they play with that idea of maybe she's crazy or one of them could not be what they seem. When they're
some of the lines that he says, they're kind of weird. So it works for a recut trailer, for a horror recut trailer.
He's a bold character.
Hopefully Nadia sees that and, gets a kick out of it. But
in the first one, he's more extroverted, she's more introverted. In the second one, he's more introverted, she's more extroverted.
Correct. So we didn't get to Ben. Where do you rate this?
Oh yeah, it's true love.
Okay.
Tippy tip.
Okay, yeah. I missed that. So, and Cammy, you're still on 8.
I think 7 for me.
Okay, 7.
Yeah.
I think I would rate it at 9. So, damn. That means it's gonna go an 8.
I almost gave it a 9, but I was like, nope. Like I said earlier, I really like it when sequels dare to do something new.
Kind of surprised. Because a lot of people, that's the thing, a lot of people revere this to the point where they say it's the best of the trilogy.
Oh,
really?
Yes. Through the years, I've heard people say that.
I mean, it's trim as hell. You know, it's trim. It's like bing, bada boom, bada bing. You're in, you're out. And it's experiential. An hour and 20 minutes. I mean, how many movies can say that these days? This day, if a movie like this came out, it'd be like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
No, it'd be too long.
Yeah, that's hashtag make movies 2 hours again. I continue to do that. So,
hour and 40, but let's keep it snappy.
yep. Where are you? I just had it up. There we go. Jeez.
Oh, I love that book, dude.
We are at the third film and final one of the
and
trilogy.
you know what? Me and Cam, we were talking before you came on that both of us had just finished it 30 minutes before we got on this, so it's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're very fresh on it for like the ending at least.
I will admit, for the latter half, I did the same thing.
Oh, nice.
We are all
My
fresh
cat
when
and
it
I
comes
watched
to
it.
the finale of this.
My cat and I watched this together.
Yeah, how'd that go? This is a very different film. Let's look at what IMDb says about the synopsis.
It's gonna sound
So-
dramatic.
No one can top the first film, on IMDb. Unfortunately, they have one night together. All right, so before midnight, we meet Jesse and Celine 9 years on in Greece from Before Sunset. Almost 2 decades have passed since the first meeting on that train bound for Vienna. Very vague and unspecific to what actually occurs in this. That is all. More specifically, this starts off with Jesse dropping off his son Henry at the airport, and at this point, he's 15 or so, 14. And he's going back. Henry is going back to Chicago where he lives with his mom, and Jesse's staying in Greece with Celine and his 2 identical, very blonde twins. And they're staying at a friend's house.
They're really well cast, those little girls.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
They look completely believable, like the love child of the 2.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
But ultimately, the story is about the destination. Here we go again. There's a plot to this in which it's set up that at the end of the night, they're supposed to go to a hotel that a couple friend has set up for them. And they talk about it sporadically throughout the movie. They're eventually going to get to that. So that is how this movie injects a plot within a character dialogue driven movie that doesn't have a plot. Like it's almost paradoxical, but it does because it has a destination, a goal to go to. That is how you pull off a movie like this. So you want to keep there has to be a track you're going on. So, but in between that, before they head off to the hotel, they have a bit of musings about Jesse's old books, the new one he's working on. Then they have a dinner with different generations of couples, right? We do see at the beginning that Jesse is a caring, loving father. Like it's clear that he doesn't really have neglect aside from the element of distance that he has of an ocean. I mean, that's something that he's really conflicted about. And by the time Henry leaves to go on his plane, and Henry's he has a good attitude when it comes to his dad. Like he says when he's asked, "Did you have a good summer?" He says, "Yeah, heck yeah, I did. Of course, yeah." He's not pretending. Like, he actually means that. But by the time Henry gets to the security check-in, Ethan Hawke's demeanor just totally changes to just solemn, and he doesn't like that he's saying goodbye to his son. That's the setup at the beginning of the movie,
It's truly a manifestation of what he talked about in the second one. He loves his baby boy.
Random Ray. This is where tragedy starts, he says. Now, I mean, we'll get into that. I think that this film, when people talk about it, they speak more dramatically about where it goes. I get that people talk about how dark it goes, but it really doesn't to me. I think people say it goes to a more confrontational place, an uncomfortable place because of where these movies have been, especially with the first film. But to me, it felt organic. It felt natural.
Goes to a realistic place.
And welcome.
Incredibly realistic. I
Right.
find it to be an incredibly realistic film. Yeah.
Cammy, what do you think? What do you think about the tonality and where it goes? Because, okay, so for the audience that hasn't seen it, is by the time they get to that hotel, the floodgates burst open and they start arguing about really the core of the matter of this film that they set up is the conflict of Jesse's son Henry is still living in Chicago, and that's causing his heart to be split, where he wants to be over there to be with his son, but he knows that he's going to stay with Celine and his two daughters, obviously. But that's a part of, that's the main conflict, and they talk about other stuff, but that really is the start in many instances of Celine and Jesse arguing with each other. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Tammy?
I mean, I kind of pre-predicted, of course, the movie would touch on like now that they're together, not everything's great, or they would argue or have these problems. And the son at the beginning is definitely foreshadowing. But I did side a lot with Ethan or Jesse's character because I feel like, I mean, for me, I feel like as a wife, to let the husband lead, and if he wants to be close to his son, I would do that. So I didn't really relate to Celine at all in this in that regard. If that makes sense.
She's letting the claws come out. She's vicious in this movie. She gets vicious, and I didn't think it was.
Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry.
That was surreal. I just heard myself.
I know. I was watching it.
That was another voice. Nice. I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, who is that? Who's the other guy? No, I didn't think, and I didn't remember how much of a contrast this is. And I've heard reviewers talk about over the years how, which side are you on? Is it Jesse or Celine? And some people have a gray area where they say, I'm on, at one point I'm on Jesse's side, and then the next I'm on Celine. Really, throughout this entire argument in the third act, Celine is the instigator for all of the shit that goes down. Yeah, Jesse raises his voice a couple times or speaks harshly, but he really only raises his voice one time, and we can talk about that in regards to his infidelity, trait. But really, most of the arguments are started because of Celine. Like she's lighting the matches.
Yeah.
And putting them to the fuses.
I agree. It was very combative. It was almost like not hard to watch, but just like, some of the things that were being said like made me cringe, and I just was like, okay.
What was a moment specifically that really you didn't that stuck out to you? That really was underlined.
I'm trying to think if I didn't really remember any specific words. I know it was when they were walking and that scenery was behind them. It was kind of a little bit closer before they got to the hotel. I just felt like they were both trading barbs at that point, but I don't know. It seemed very harsh. But then I think there's a moment of selfishness on her part when she's on the bed and she's saying well, what about my life? And you're asking me to do this. I just for me cannot relate, because I would be like, what, are you crazy? I'm sorry. It may sound crazy. I'm very traditional. So I was like, no, I don't agree with her on any of that stuff. So
right. For her to have any qualms about, this is the thing we can look into a little bit. And she does make a good point. It's later on, and it takes a long time for her to get to that point, which is unfortunate because it's pretty simple. Is by the time they sit down after probably 20 minutes of arguing and they have a moment to breathe, she states, to use a word that Jesse says, rational. She rationally states, how is it practical for us to move to Chicago only to be able to see Henry for a limited amount of time? That doesn't sound worth it to me. And Jesse agrees. You're right. And then she says, see, this is me having a rational conversation. It's that is a good point. It's you have to figure out the legal situation first before you commit to moving across an ocean. And Jesse it's okay that he's thinking about wanting to get closer to Henry. But I think a lot of why Celine is upset is because of her part that she played in the fracturing of that family. And I think she resents Jesse for initiating it. And then there might be a bit of self-loathing actually that comes into play here that she's projecting onto him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What do you think, Ben?
I think the beginning, what got my attention with her, and at first I thought maybe it would be a distraction for me, is, he's in the car and he's the one that's driving. He's the one that's clearly grieving about dropping his son off. That's traumatizing. Just spent the summer having a most beautiful time with his baby boy. And she has the gall to bust his balls and guilt trip him about eating the rest of that apple as the babies are eating in the back seat. And the way she's like talking to him kind of triggered me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was it's just like kind of just disgusting. That was a disgusting behavior on her part. You know what I mean? He's the one that's like hurting, and she's not even.
There's no comforting. There's really no comforting from Celine, hardly at all.
But here's the kicker, though, and this is where I love these movies so much.
Yep.
The movie ends up looking at the script, and the film ends up looking at itself in the mirror, because they point that out later in the movie, in the fight, in the conflict. I call it a pimple popping scene where they're just finally getting it out. They're duking it out. It's really quite beautiful, and it's harsh, it's sad, but it's beautiful because both of them say what they need to say, and he just says it flat straight. He goes, "You're crazy." You know what I mean? Because that was crazy behavior. You know what? And this is the thing. She's a very traumatized person with a lot of undealt trauma. And a lot of the things she says and her behaviors and some of her mood swings and stuff is incredibly realistic. And I'm not gonna get too personal. Listen, I've been in relationships and with people that were just highly traumatized, and so I can tell you it's damn good writing, damn good character development. So it sucks. There's a lot of things about her you don't like, but it's really, I think that's why it's the fact that we all feel kind of triggered by behavior. It's good writing, good acting, good production.
Agreed. Yeah. Even though there are aspects of a character we don't like, there's still the acknowledgement of this is so well made. I'm not sure if the third film was nominated for an Oscar for writing. Let me see real quick. Apparently it was nominated for adapted screenplay again. So there you go. You have it with that again. And the actors impress again, actually, to the nth degree, or the top of their potential, where they perform a scene in the car at the beginning of the film that has just one cutaway for 6 minutes straight. At first, they're talking unbroken shot in the car. It cuts away to the ruins, which I think they were just cutting back to a different take. But then that next take is around 7 minutes.
Wow.
So these are actors that rehearse this kind of scene incessantly and get it to the point where it sounds so natural. It's actually I'm just baffled that, the amount of work that it takes, and you don't see this kind of work in any other. I can't recall another film that has done this kind of thing, where you hold on a take where you have two characters talking for this length and going through different emotions. This is very unique.
Yeah.
You two as actors, how did you take that scene and others, and looking at Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke as actors?
Well, I don't know how it is for you, Ben, but for me, it's kind of like a dream scenario as an actor to step into that kind of scene. I've always wanted to challenge and like take over a scene that is like emotional and that lasts a really long time. And I don't know, I think it's really cool because there's a lot of that in this movie. And this is sad that I don't mean to like reference Gilmore Girls, but it's like the only other time where I've seen like such scenes play out with so much dialogue and like a long take. Which is really cool. But I didn't notice that was 7 minutes without a cut. So I just think that's really, to me, it sounds fun. As an actor, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds really cool. But
that's literally 7 pages out of a screenplay.
Probably more, dude, because they're delivering them quickly.
Yeah. I what I see is a lot of work. I see a lot of work. And I've had with my acting coach, my mentor, Marco Perella, I've had the privilege of him giving me a lot of scenes with a lot of dialogue. And I'm not the type of actor that just sits down and just immediately looks at it and I got it. I have to dial in, and if it has to take me 5 hours to memorize a 3-page scene, by golly, I have to do it. So what I see is work. I see a lot of work. But I feel like by that point in the third film, it was like breathing air, getting into the scene together and rehearsing together and going there together. You know what I'm saying? There didn't have to be this like mixer of like, okay, tell me about yourself. Let's play these improv games of getting to know each other. They're probably like, what's up? Good to see you. Okay, what do you think? Okay, they're probably laughing. Probably when they're rehearsing the horrible dagger scene, they're probably pissing themselves laughing, rehearsing. That's what I see. This is a good old family reunion. It was like the gang's back together, but not in a stupid way.
And these actors. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, one thing that Celine mentions is she's working on a project for the government and she's contemplating whether to go to a different job that pays more. Her job currently is involving wind turbines and that coming from, energy coming from that. And I had a recollection of a scene that happened in a TV show, and it was this one.
Do you have any idea how much diesel they have to burn to mix that much concrete or make that steel and haul this shit out here and put it together with a 450-foot crane? You want to guess how much oil it takes to lubricate that fucking thing or winterize it? And believe me, if Exxon thought them fucking things right there were the future, they'd be putting them all over the goddamn place. Getting oil out of the ground is the most dangerous job in the world. We don't do it because we like it. We do it because we run out of options.
If only Celine could have a monologue delivered to her in that way. I wonder what she would say,
I know.
Yeah, so in that way, they kind of carry over a lot of the stuff from the second film where she's kind of like wokey-ish, So, yeah, it doesn't last long, but it's just something that stood out to me. And but that's not the main, the main focus is their relationship in terms of how they go about reestablishing where they're going to live and how they're going to live, and they've been together for 9 years. That is a long time, and they are more at ease. They're a lot more at ease. Celine is very comfortable putting down Jesse, which actually happens a lot. At one point he gets like he wonders about how his son, who spent the summer in Greece with them, and he connected with this girl that was around his age, and he said, "Hey, what if they end up spending the rest of their lives together?" And she says, "What are you, like 12-year-old girl?" Yeah, that's that kind of thing. It's funny, but at the same time, it's like she's lost all of that kind of romantic energy and projection as she used to have. It's such a contrast when you see these films in such close proximity and you look at the first film and then all the way to the third. She's a very different person. Jesse is more like himself in the first than he is or comparative to Celine. And at one point, Celine actually says, she said something about listening to or reading either one of his books or a letter or something, and she says, "You sound like exactly like the same person that when you were 20," and she kind of meant it as a dig, right? It's like, what? He was a really nice guy. Why is that a bad thing? It's like, come on.
A lot of her behavior and comments in this film, it triggers me a little bit, but I have to set aside that and have to like analyze the characters. But it does. I felt a little triggered. Listen, I'm a very sensitive, tenderhearted person. So like when I see like a dude getting kind of razzed on like that by his significant other, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't handle that very well. I'd be like, fuck you too, bitch. I'm sorry for that, but I'm like,
hey, we have the TVMA notification at the beginning. Rating. So
we
did? There you go.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I apologize, Cammy, for my French.
Oh no, you're not bothering me.
For your French. Your
French. It's appropriate. She's French, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Well, I can
Yeah.
tell you some of. Oh, you're about to say something, Cammy. What
Oh
were you-
no, I wasn't. I just said yeah.
Oh,
You're
I thought
good.
you
You
said yeah, like you're about to start something. No, it's interesting. On the first two films, there's a lot of B-rolls of the geography of the buildings and the architecture in the city. There's not a lot of there's like hardly at all any B-roll in this one. Find that interesting.
Ben, 1 sec. I will be right back. Continue with that. I'll be right back.
Want me to continue talking about that right now or pause it?
Correct. No, continue.
Oh, got you.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
how that-
I'll be back in 1 minute.
Oh, got you. No, there was a lot of B-roll, like where it showed the different buildings and their location, kind of like a love letter to the specific geographies.
Mm-hmm.
For this one, they don't do a lot of that, and they're in freaking Greece. I've been in Greece. That is a very stunning place. It is a mystically beautifully place, so full of so much history. I thought that was interesting that they didn't emphasize that. However, they do emphasize they show the locals at a more intimate level. They don't really show the locals at an intimate level in the first two films. Like they interact with some of the locals, but it's not super intimate. This one, they had that whole lunch scene. It's a very intimate scene of the way they're all talking to each other, and it's like it's a multi-couple romantic scene. You know, when that elderly lady is that monologue about her losing her memory, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
I liked that scene.
Throughout that whole
Yeah.
lunch scene, and even leading up to it, like Celine in the kitchen with the ladies, that I will say that wins Celine over for me in the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually liked that. I liked more of those scenes before they had that long walk and talk, because even Ethan Hawke outside with the older gentleman, the two guys, and he was talking about his next book, or they were just talking about life. I thought that was like a neat scene as well. But yeah, I'm the same as you with like the harsh things. But yeah, they lost the B-roll. I totally agree, because they had that really charming B-roll even at the beginning of the second movie. And it brought you the memories of the first movie, you know, the way it was just music and the scenery.
Oh yeah. And I love B-roll. I love like establishing shots, but I feel like it was strategic. I don't feel like they were just rushing it, because even though you don't get the B-roll, I mean the backdrops, because that scene when he's talking to the guys and talking about his book ideas and stuff, that's an insane backdrop. That is an insane backdrop. And I like how. Did I just hear a voice?
Oh, no, yeah, I just thought I agree. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah.
I'm getting like where it's that time of the night where I'm like my old man side's coming out. No, but
I'm the same.
The old man side.
The old.
Well, let me help.
I'll
compensate. Yeah.
Let me give you a download what I just said. Kyle, were you listening?
I heard the latter part of it.
Well, also, I was kind of holding out on what I was about to say. It's interesting. So once they have that lovely little lunch scene with their local friends, and then they've been cut loose, and then I like how they throw in the tradition from the first two of them walking together and the camera following them. That was a lovely tradition. The first two, they don't nearly emphasize it like the first two, but it's like they have to show. It's anytime like franchises and sequels, they always have to have these certain commonalities, like certain scenes. Like the Indiana Jones movie, there's a fight scene and there's a vehicular chase scene. You know what I mean? It's specific with the second in command henchman. In this film, it's the walking and talking together. So they have that. And it's interesting. They're surrounded by buildings in the first two, and there's this confined romance, and they're moving. In this one, they're not surrounded by buildings. They're surrounded by, because I've been to Greece, they're surrounded by vast ocean and air and temples. And there's, they're older now. There's this openness. And even the way Ethan Hawke, he's got his shag, but it's not like he's trying to reclaim his younger glory days. It's almost like he don't give a shit anymore. And he's in Europe and he's just got his older guy shag. Who cares, man? But it's like, so you have that moment where they're free. There's this openness again. But then guess what? Then like the chunk of the rest of the movie, they're confined in that hotel room.
Yep.
The hotel room is not even that fancy. It's okay production design. It's actually kind of bland, but it's strategically bland. You know what I mean?
Because it's not that big, but it's very nice looking.
Huh?
It's not that big, but it's very nice looking.
Yeah. But there's a blandness in the relationship, and now that it's like they're caged tigers together in the hotel room.
Well, here's the thing that I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a source of calm that comes in sporadically when they're fighting in a few times. It's whenever they broach the topic of the twins, when they reminisce about their memories in regards to them, they start to calm down every time they're mentioning them and commiserating about them. But every time they go off topic or one thing is said that triggers, it's usually Celine, it goes back into them arguing with each other. And Jesse is trying to calm the fire. He's trying to temper the fire and put it out, the flames. But no, every chance she gets, Celine tries to start something again. At one point he said, he's pouring the wine at this point, and he's trying to get the night going, and he wants to get laid, obviously. Like, it's, at one point there's a significant part of the scene where Celine is topless and they're just arguing, and that's realistic. And it's not sexualized in any kind of way. It's not titillating, but it's realistic and actually helps you get into the realism of what's happening as if you are a voyeur, and you're an invisible presence in this room. It adds to the illusion. And that's what's so great about what Linklater does. He does these little touches that add to the feeling more real. And the thing I forgot to mention was in the second film, just put that up for real quick, just referencing back just real quick, is my question that I had at the beginning was, where the hell is Jesse's luggage? He leaves the bookstore and he starts walking with Celine, and he's eventually going to go on a plate. Where is his luggage? No. When they get to the ferry, he's talking to Philippe the driver, and he asks, and it's even off screen, so it's like, it's subtle, but he says, "And you have my luggage, right?" And it's just like, oh, update, never mind. It's like, it's taken care of because Linklater paid attention to those details. So I really love about what he does. He did that. That was awesome. Just these little things. They're not going to mean much to everyone else, but I love that. I love that. And he does it here. He does it here as well.
I was telling Cammie that Celine, there is moments that in my eyes give her some redemptive qualities. And like I said, it's one of the reasons I think this is such a genius trilogy with the writing is so like, when she was at the villa with their family friends, like the way she's interacting with the ladies in the kitchen, the younger lady comes in, she goes, "What were y'all doing?" And they're alluding and stuff. But it's like, it's such a cute, like, older woman kind of teasing and joking around with the younger woman moment. And she's interacting with the ladies in the kitchen. And even when they're at the table, and her and everybody's attention to the elderly lady, when the elderly lady gives her beautiful monologue about finding ways to remember her husband, even though she's getting dementia or whatever. And then Celine, the way Celine fully embraces his son, she loves his son. She does. She truly loves his son. And the way she interacts with him is really quite sweet. You can tell his son and her have like this special little buddy relationship.
Yeah, and she's the one that gets the call from Henry to begin with, actually. The question would be to ask is, why didn't Henry call his dad?
Well, you first, Cammie. I can answer you first.
Oh no, I mean, I honestly don't know. So I want to hear what you have to say there.
Well, I think that even though Celine is a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I don't think she's near the terror that his biological mother is. And I think she's more of a solid mother figure than his biological mother. And I think there's a special connection there. I don't think it has anything to do with resentment towards his dad. He's just at that too cool for school age. Because you see how good his dad is to him in the beginning, the way he's loving him. You brought that up. I think that there's a special bond there to Celine. I mean, Celine is beautiful.
Yeah.
She has a presence. She's, when she's on good form, she's on great form.
Yeah, every instance we've seen when we see her as a mother and she's gardening with her two daughters. I mean, that's something that's very wholesome. She looks like she's in her element, very comfortable. The daughters are very happy. I mean, outside of that's why I think that this film is regarded as it gets dark unnecessarily, because everything around it, I think, it's going fairly well. I think we're just seeing a segment that is just very confrontational in their lives. That's the whole point of why they made this third film is to show this is an instance in which what happens when you've been with someone for so long, you might have this blowout that's been building over time, you know? And it does. And I think it's a great example of, you know, what happens. I mean, that's the thing. I've seen people argue growing up. I grew up with a dysfunctional family. I've not pretended about that. I've come from a big family. I'm number 9 of 11 children, you know? Yeah. Right. So I've seen my older siblings argue with themselves, with my parents, and my parents themselves. And it's just, you see this kind of stuff. And I would say that some of this is actually kind of tame in comparison to what I've seen.
No, it's incredibly tame. It's harsh, but literally, it's tame.
Yeah, it's very tame. I feel like a lot of, well, I mean, some movies go there, but this was definitely a very tame version of getting upset, even though we were like, about some of the things.
Yeah, because we go, because it's Jesse and Celine. But because we've seen them be so romantic with each other. Say again, Ben?
Well, I think he was strategic because I thought about that. Even the moment he's falling her out and he's raising his voice, I was like, yeah, I mean, this is harsh, but it's not that as harsh as it could be. And I knew it when I was watching. That was strategic. They weren't gonna. There were certain lines they weren't gonna cross. They don't put their hands on each other in any kind of violent way. He never calls her a B word. She never calls him a piece of shit or whatever. Or you know, there's certain levels they don't hit below and beneath the belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but they do knock each other down a little bit. I mean, at one point she criticizes him in regards to him being a writer. Yeah, she says you're no like I don't know she references an author and she's like you're no ... It's is that really necessary? Like she's really trying to knock him down a peg. She's really trying to demasculate him.
Yeah, she's a little resentful. He's hit more peaks in his career than she has, and there's probably a little bit of some resentment that can happen sometimes.
Yeah, because she mentions how like I don't have enough time to write any music anymore. I don't get to play my guitar. You get to spend all your time talking with your writer friends. And actually, one of them is just a bicycle maker, which is really cool. Testament to if you have friends that you trust, they can be in different walks of life, and you can have creative conversations with people.
Oh,
you know, and trade ideas. But she is resentful about that. I mean, it's just it does showcase the idea of what kind of relationship are you going to go into? Are you going to support what he's trying to do? Because there are going to be sacrifices and compromises here. You know, like even let's go back all the way to what she said in the first film. She said, I feel like I'm supposed to be this strong woman." Wrong button, Kyle. "I'm supposed to be this strong woman and not want a man or need him, but yet that's what I want." She says that in Before Sunrise. And I think she's conflicted with that because whatever she grew up with when it comes to her parents or expectations with society, because she does reference that. Like, this is more than me. This is more important. I got to do this. It's about feminism, blah, blah, blah. And Jesse is just, bravo.
Right.
Bravo. People are, the applause is going to start soon. So, yeah, it's like, you've been with this guy for 9 years. What do you expect? He's a writer, and he always was. It's when people have this anger when things change up in their mind about their expectations. Okay, you can have that, but just don't go about it in such an ugly way.
Yeah. She sounds like conflicted with her own ideals and like what she's perceiving things should be in life right now. And I don't know. I just, for me as the character, I wish she would have more admiration. Like, oh, I really love that he wants to be with his son. And maybe we could do an adventure year back, you know, living in the States. But she's just looking at everything so negatively.
Yes.
And yeah. And then just putting him down, like saying, don't ever write about me again. And all these different things. So, I mean, it's in her hurt, but I'm trying to figure out in my own mind what the root is, you know, for her. So I don't know really.
I mean, at one point she says the most extreme thing, which is she doesn't love him anymore. Um, and I think that is a response to, well, she says that right after Jesse raised his voice in regards to the question of what he's posed by Celine of, did you have sex with this person or do anything with this person? I think it's like years ago when he was on a book tour. He doesn't ever answer, but it's enough of an implication where he says, do I put the same expectations on you? I'm willing to accept that you're a complicated human being. And he gets up after she decides to start leaving the hotel, and he says, because I don't want to be in a relationship or a marriage that's, institutionalized and blah, 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 and other people have preconceptions about, because that's a bunch of stifling bullshit, right? And then she slams the door. That's the first time he raises his voice. And I think, yeah, that's when right after that she comes back and says, you know what the problem is? I don't think I love you anymore. Okay. So because I think based off of what he said, at first it seems like she's projecting this fear that that Jesse had affairs and all that stuff. At first it seems as though that's just an insecurity that she has. But based off of how he goes about saying all that stuff, is like, I don't want to be in an institutionalized relationship. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's like, why would you say that if you didn't, have affairs? He probably did, which is, kind of shitty. At the same time, I think he's telling the truth when he says, I don't intend on leaving you. I'm going to stay with you and all that stuff. Who knows? Again, goes back to him being a real horny dude. Like, maybe when he's on these book tours, he really just, he needs some sexual gratification. It's not an excuse. I'm just saying that's Jesse, right? It's gone all the way back to the first film. But yeah, at that point, it's like you kind of relate to what Celine is saying, So, did anyone catch this? Did anyone feel the same thing that I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I did. I don't know if you did, Ben. I'm sure you did too. I don't know. It wasn't, I think this movie, I feel like it's hard because it is so combative that it makes me at odds with the characters a little bit. It's overly combative. Actually, you, Ben, you give me your thoughts, and then I'm gonna gather my thoughts a little more on that.
So ask the question one more time, bro.
Did you feel that, did you see all of the kind of contradictions or nuances to when he ultimately doesn't admit that he's had affairs, but he says enough to where it would be reasons as to why he thinks it's okay, but he's still committed to Celine?
Yeah, I think he might have a little bit of a sexual addiction, and there's like a very subtle moment. They don't overly emphasize it, but when when that young couple, that is very sweet. No, that when the young couple first show up, when they're sitting outside, the camera lingers on Jesse, kind of eyeballing the girl she's walking in. He's kind of lusting after her a little bit. And yeah,
yes.
And she's sitting right next to him at the table, and you could almost say there's a little bit of an undercurrent of chemistry. I don't know. That's how.
Well, that young couple is a manifestation of what Celine and Jesse would have been had they met 6 months later in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because they talk about, they're asked, like, where'd you guys meet? When did you meet? They say, oh, we met a year ago. Oh, see? The time kind of meets up in terms of an equivalency of what would have happened had Jesse and Celine met in 90. I think it still would have been in 95. Yeah. Or no, it takes place in 94. It would have been December of 94. Very particular. Anyway, actually, this is a good place to call on to, remember what I said about a mystery guest?
Oh, yeah. There
Okay.
you go.
You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Megan the Texan.
Oh, Megan!
Hey. Hi, Megan.
Can we hear
Very
you?
Nice.
Okay.
My debut.
Megan.
I love
Megan,
it.
Vibe, Megan.
Yes.
Oh, no. You can hear
I love
me?
it.
Yes, it's a little bit lower quality, and it's a little bit choppy, but try to get the the mic a little bit closer.
That's my sister from another mister.
There you go. There you go.
Aww. Yeah. That's cool. I like having two girls on the panel now too. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so it's evened out. Wait. Can I do this right here? Okay, so here's what we got to do. Bam.
All right.
Okay, so Megan, can you hear me?
It's a little bit choppy on my end.
A little bit choppy. All right, might get a little bit better. Give a quick rundown, and Megan took a lot of notes because we watched this separately, but she did take a lot of notes, but just extract in an impromptu way. What did you think about, because you've seen the trilogy before, right? Yes. So what did you think? Initially, you come from a background in which when we first met, you hated romantic films.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a delay.
First with you when we were dating.
Yes. And now things have changed for you. Yes.
That is true. So, okay, watching it, I have a lot of things to say. So, yeah. I definitely have a better understanding of what's going on right now. Gosh, it's super delayed.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna try and start. Gosh, the fact that it's like happening after me talking kind of sucks. But yeah, so talking about the romantic part of it, I love it. The first one is my favorite.
She's probably reacting to something that I said, but keep going, Megan. Ignored what I'm saying, and then we'll get back to the stream.
Oh my gosh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's delayed. Just keep going.
Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
I'm not feeling bothered one iota.
I know. I didn't want to talk to confuse it.
Rewatching it was when Selena's talking to okay, cool. When Celine's talking to Jesse. Okay, cool.
Hey, I actually have an idea to get rid of this delay, and we can do it real quick. I'm gonna take Megan out of the stream real quick, and I'm gonna have her switch the device she's using.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I really want to hear her thoughts too. So eagerly waiting.
So, audience of the few that are here, bear with us as we're gonna try to get Megan's take on these movies. So we're still talking about the third film. But while we're doing that, actually, the one thing that we need to do still is rate this, actually. Ben, why don't you go first?
True love. Seriously, I don't mean to seem like such a pushover with these. I admire the crap out of the new direction they go. And new direction with the characters, the dynamics, and I didn't think it was cheesy. And can I tell you, I thought this one was gonna be the same as the last two. It didn't work out at the end, and they met up again. So when he comes out to the car and she's the mother of their two twins in the back seat, I was surprised by that. And it's hard to surprise me as a avid film geek. So I was surprised. I want to give credit where it's due, and I just want to kind of drive home the point that more franchises need to be like this.
It's hard to top a franchise like this because of the uniqueness of the chronology and the timeline in between, the real timeline in between. Linklater tried to do it with Boyhood, and it was nominated for Best Picture. I personally think it's overrated, but it's Megan's back in here. I will bring her in on one sec.
We should add her opinions on each movie to the ranking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll bring her in for this then. Good suggestion. Okay, which ones? Okay, here.
I'm usually not captain. Let me give the highest score possible films, but I genuinely was impressed, and I feel like these films lived up to the legend.
Random Ray would rate Before Midnight an 8 or low 9. That's fair. That's fair. I like that there's kind of a consensus here of they're highly rated. You know, who the hell is going to rate this all the way to Rooster Prick? You know, it's kind of a placeholder. It's not, I knew that it's unlikely for anyone to rate these movies as that. So, but who knows? Maybe Megan feels differently. Let's see. Megan, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, much better.
So much better.
That's a cool backdrop too. That's awesome.
Finally. I know.
Very cool. Yeah. The picture is clear.
Yay! Okay, good. Now I don't feel like I'm super choppy right now. So, kind of going back to the first film, I really loved the first one, and what I've noticed upon rewatching, because obviously I watched it with Kyle years ago when we were dating, and I didn't have a fondness for it just because, I don't know, I just think that it didn't seem like there was a setup and payoff when it came to even them seeing the play at the end with the cow play that they are alluding to towards the middle of Before Sunset.
Yeah, but that brings a naturalism or a realism to that's what happens in real life. We intend on doing something throughout our day, and then at the end of it, we think, "Oh, I forgot to do that." Megan, it's going so well.
It was going so well. Did we lose her?
It was going so well.
Oh, wait, I thought I heard it come back a little bit just now.
Give her 1 sec. I'm instructing her to, because she's got, yeah, I think she'll. One moment. Yeah. Random Key noticed it much better at the beginning. Something happened with her connection, though. While we're waiting, though, Random Key also says, knowing there isn't any sequel after Midnight, and they did speculate about doing a fourth one. The problem was, and I wish I had brought up the clip, but I'll just say it, right here, is Julie Delpy had an interview, and she said that Richard Linklater approached her about doing a fourth. But the problem, and I agree with her, he said that, oh, you know what I was thinking is Jesse and Celine would be like them. I think he mentioned that they would be broken up, but the thing that stuck out the most was, yeah, Celine would be dying of cancer.
Oh no.
And yeah, and then Celine, well, not Celine, that's goes to show you how melded these characters are with the actors. Julie Delpy said, I don't want to do that. I don't think that's a good idea. And I agree with her. I absolutely agree with her. You should not kill off these characters. I don't know what he would be thinking about that. But that's what makes these special, is that this is a triumvirate creative endeavor. All of them have to agree on an idea for it to be committed to the movie. Sorry, Random Ray, I didn't finish your comment. And this kind of has an open ending. What do you think happened after the film cut to black to Jesse and Celine, specifically their story? Megan, why don't you answer that question? Did you hear it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to go over my thoughts at the beginning.
Okay, sorry.
What a badass. Like, it literally came on with you doing the cigar. Like, you look like Al Capone or something.
The cigar. No, she's getting a cigar. We both have a cigar right now.
Yeah. Okay, so my thoughts. So what I've noticed in the first Before Sunrise versus everything else. So I love the fact that Jesse is just this hopeless romantic that wants to basically whisk her away and get to know more about her just from the conversation that they had on the train. I love that, and I love how he is a hopeless romantic. But then has this cynicism, which I felt was really interesting. So I would think that it would be more consistent with him to be a constant hopeless romantic. I bringing back the whole thing with the fortune teller, the palm reader. The fact
And
that
the poet.
and the poet, that he thinks that these are all ruses to get more money, and he has a cynicism, but yet is this optimistic, charismatic romantic. So that I felt was a little bit, I mean, it makes sense for a person to be that way, but I would think that they'd be more consistent across the board. And then when it came to Celine, I noticed something and I wrote it down. I wrote a bunch of notes, but just kind of a quick recap. One of the things that I had written here is when Celine, I want to say, I don't remember at what part of the first movie, she says to the effect, she treats relationships like a general of an army, learning, seducing a guy, and plotting strategies and maneuvering. What would hurt him and seduce him, which I felt was super horrible and cynical way of thinking, but it also translates to her, how she is in the rest of the films. She has this wanting to save the world and wanting to be this girl boss, but also she almost logs things away when it comes to Jesse and uses them as kind of a way to maybe push him away. And we really see that highlighted in the third film, where she has this artillery and she's ready to basically be able to go to war with him and have these conversations with him. And I also notated, while you guys were talking previously, that I don't see Jesse with any other type of woman. Like, he wants this strong-willed, almost, I mean, not a manic pixie dream girl, but he wants a girl who is driven and knows what she wants, and yet I feel like he's battling that because she has such a strong charisma as well. So it's kind of a interesting ebb and flow with them consistently.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. What other things did I have? Of course, I wrote them down on my phone. And then one of my favorite parts of the first film, Before Sunrise, is the scene in which they're sitting down, and I want to say it was in a bar or an arcade, and they have their pretend phones Celine talking to her best friend on how she met this guy and how she got off the train with him, and then also elaborating how I think I'm scaring him off. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I may be scaring him off. I'm not sure if I'm coming on too strong. And he is able to kind of temper that and say, oh no, I think he enjoys it. I think he's okay with that. So I love how you can also see that she is kind of critiquing herself, kind of holding back a little bit. Yeah, that's one of my favorite
Well,
scenes.
it's really interesting that when you're describing Celine, it showcases how different she is in the other films and how idealistic and very warm she is in the first film. More pleasant. You want to be around her, and you like her, love her in the same way that Jesse does. It's very different. It has a semblance of it in the second, but the third film is you just feel entirely different. She just has little pockets of,
She's a bit of a rebel
light.
without a cause. I think in the first one, she's kind of learning about herself a little bit more and what she likes. And I think she's holding back a little bit too. And then she really comes into her own in the second and third one, for sure. And I would say, so the first one, Before Sunrise, I would give that, was that True Love? The top ranking?
Yes, so
The
we're
first one.
on the first film.
Yes.
So where do you rate it?
What I can't really see without zooming
Well,
in.
I mean, it's 1 to 10 essentially. I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, 10. I'd give that a 10 for sure.
Interesting. It
Nice.
stays there. It stays there. Doesn't move.
stays there.
Don't move. It doesn't move.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's such a beautiful love note, and it also kind of highlights the fact that kids today don't seek these type of deep conversations. Like, I can't see this happening today. You know, a woman would find that uncomfortable to get off the train with a stranger.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they would really have these deep thoughts that they're talking about. So, I mean, it could happen, but I don't see it happening as often, or definitely not portrayed in films as beautiful as it is in this one.
I agree with that. It's a different time we live in now.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true. And it's sad. It's sad that you don't have these deep thoughts about everything. And it does seem as though he's a little bit pompous and a little bit arrogant and definitely a dreamer, but I like that about him, for sure. It's what attracted him to her and vice versa. And then, what is it? What's the second one? Before...
Sunrise? Oh, wait, Sunset. Yeah.
Sunset. Awesome. Thoughts about that one. I like that one. I would say it's not as strong as the first one, obviously. I wouldn't rank it as high. I would probably rank it about an 8. So a little bit higher than you, Tammy. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think that it's interesting too that they're kind of reopening old wounds, and to what Kyle said about how he walked around Paris just trying to find her. And he didn't have an exact address, obviously, because I love how they played it up in the first one, where we're not going to exchange phone numbers, we're not going to exchange addresses, we're just going to basically live in this moment and kind of plan on like a almost on a whim. And that's really beautiful because it kind of feels more organic that way, as opposed to, you know, we're going to call ahead of time. And it also plays into their thought process on how their past relationships have been, that it fizzles out over time. And they wanted to keep that freshness, not knowing anything about each other, what has transpired within those 6 months. So I love that about it. But he does know in the first one where she went to school. So I think he does have a little bit of an idea of where he wants the book tour to be, because he at least knows where she went to school.
Wait. Maybe that's a plot hole we just found. Because if he knows that, that means he could have gone to the school and tried to find out about her name. Like, there's a Celine I need to know about. You know, what's her information? Maybe they would have denied him, but at least they could have covered that plot hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that because the ebb and flow of the conversation in the first one goes so well that when she asks, where are you from, and yada yada, and she says, oh yeah, I went to school at this place.
Mm-hmm.
I found it a little bit true to life, where she goes, oh, I went to school at such and such. And he goes, okay. You know, there's nothing more to say because he doesn't know anything about Paris. So I would say that he would probably have logged that away in his mind and think to revisit that location. But yeah, so that's where I felt like he might have understood where to set up the book tour, at least. Kind of had an idea of where she
we never know about that, right? We never hear that he had any kind of intention, and he probably hoped for, you know, meeting up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Linklater did in real life with Amy. But yeah. There is one thing though, Megan, that you forgot to mention, to bring a little real life element into this. It's concerning the first one, but in relation to you and I. So the very first conversation that me and Megan had was on a phone call. And it just so happened that the thing behind me in my Chicago apartment was the poster to this movie.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
cute.
That's really sweet. Oh my gosh.
It is sweet. It's very sentimental.
I love that.
I love that too.
I definitely see a lot of Jesse and Kyle for sure. the spur
Yeah,
of
you
the
kind of remind me of Ethan. When I was watching that, you kind of remind me of Ethan Hawke in those movies just a little bit, Kyle, in a good way.
Because they say,
you know.
There's a similar passion and there's a similar search. You're a searcher. That's why you like doing what you're doing right now. There's a search for, I don't know how to explain it. There's a search. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if that makes sense, your energy reminded me of Ethan Hawke in a good way.
well, thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
You know, you know.
I love that.
I think I'm gonna write a book about that. You know, I really want to do that. That's my impression of Ethan Hawke. He always wants to write a book about something. You know, I saw a balloon flying in the wind the other day. You know, I really want to write a book about that. It's about the ephemeral nature of life. You know, it's kind of something. Yeah. Okay. So, Megan, you.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting too that you're right. We don't know his wife's name, but
No.
I mean, she can allude and understand that he's not fully invested because the book is written about a different woman. The book of him meeting Celine and everything.
That's a good point, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The book comes out while he's still married. That is. I didn't think about that. Did anyone else think about that?
I did not. I like the points that Megan's bringing up because I didn't think about that at all.
That is, I mean, she would have, the wife would have had to have asked him, where did this story come from? What made you think about it?
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I love the first movie just because I loved how it almost felt like they weren't sure where they were going. So everything seemed new. It definitely felt as though you were walking with them, but it almost felt like you were further removed in a lot of the shots. And the second and third, it felt too close, and you knew where they were going, where they were headed to at the end. So that is what kind of made them not as strong for me. I love the whimsical nature of the first one for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the first one was more hopeful and like had more opportunity in it. Where I mean, not that it's. I mean, the other ones are realistic, which is great, but I do love the whimsy of the first one.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of.
You literally see Linklater's like different stages and where his headspace was when he made each one. There's the youthful innocence of the first one. It was going on in his head, and then the second one there was an urgency. There's a longing. There's this. Come on, let's throw this bullshit aside. And then the third one, there's just like, gosh, dang it, what the heck have I signed myself up for? All of my doings, all of my choices come down to this. Now, either I can crash or I can learn to live with it.
Yeah, and I definitely felt as though how you stated and how Kyle stated with Celine saying that she moved to New York for a little bit and was right down the road from where or not right down the road, but in the close vicinity of where Jesse
Broadway and 14th or 13th or something. Yeah, he saw her potentially on the day he was getting married in New York City.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I think definitely when she had that experience in New York and having to feel like she had to arm herself, really took that away. Like, okay, I need to head back to France. But then she threw herself into basically activist stuff. And you could definitely see her true colors and what she wanted to do with her life come out in the second one, which I agree was definitely very much almost good. She wanted to change the world, which is awesome, and really speaks to her character. But I don't know, it definitely didn't seem as lovey-dovey, as sweet as she was in the first one. You could see that there's definitely more, like Ben said, more battle scars for her.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of shit that went down. There's a lot of shit that went down in between the first and the second that she touches upon, but we don't know a whole lot about. We know that she's been in a lot of relationships that she says she's like at least like I've been screwed over so many times. Yeah, and she starts to feel less as time goes on. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Women, when they give themselves, both emotionally and most importantly sexually, it's kind of a subtle commentary on hookup culture. You are actually giving a bit of your soul to those people, and it's detrimental.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I agree. Within the first night or the years after them not meeting up on that date, they definitely have moved on. They've definitely parted ways, but haven't forgot about each other. I don't know if it was easier for Celine to kind of move on because you don't really hear much. She does say that you stirred up shit, so she definitely had that longing to want to be with him. I felt it more from him, that he was really trying to search her out, and that him getting married and starting this family was a way of trying to, I don't know, maybe quench that urge of wanting a connection. But it stinks because you don't get to hear about why he fell in love with his wife.
It was on and off. He does mention it was on and off.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah. They met in college, so potentially even before Celine, and then he got back together with her after he got back to America. It's there's some backstory here we don't, we only can put pieces together about, but yeah, there are a lot of layers to this, and even random Ray even mentioned that too. He says, very layered. It's true. But what about that third film?
Okay, yeah. Third film, trying to see. I get what Ben was saying when the whole thing with the daughter and eating her apple. I found it more comical. I don't think that she was trying to start shit with him in that instance. I think her saying, because I just hilarious how she thinks, was it you're literally taking food out of our children's mouths, and it was more playful. And then she says, when they get to be whatever years old and they have an eating disorder, I'm going to blame you. And it's
People would.
Like
She's being serious.
Well, no, I think she was playing, like, making it more comedic. I took it as more comedic, that she's just joking around that, okay, well, small instances. But it also shows that she wants to raise really strong women, really strong girls. That I think that she sees herself as a strong, independent woman. She wants to have that for her daughters, and in a playful way, also saying, if you do this, it might also negatively affect them. In, I mean, a little bit of truth to that, where if you were to take food out of your kid's mouth now, it could be an issue in the future. So I can kind of see where she's coming from there, but ultimately the end goal was just to raise really strong, independent women.
Yeah, and I think the base layer of women being strong is just raise women that are not fearful, that are just confident being themselves. It's not about being domineering or having a supremacy over men. That's where it's gone too far, And it's almost like in Before Midnight, there are some steps in which Celine is going to where she's doing that because she's insulting Jesse to a point where it's out of line, And but in the first films, like she is that. She's like the ideal woman where she's confident, she's not fearful, yet she has opinions, she talks about it, and they banter back and forth. They connect very well. And I do think, and I haven't said it yet, but I will now, is that the first film I think is the best movie out of the three because of it does bring you back to a time where, like, you want to revisit that over and over again. I think it's because of the rewatchability of the first film. It's so beautiful to watch, and you're seeing this wonderful connection just bloom. Sorry. You know.
But I do, yeah. But like I said before, that what she's doing in the third film is just retaliation because she has all this information about him. What is his weakness? What is he struggling with? And so she's kind of accumulating this through the 9 years that they've been together, and so is now able to use that against him. She's more
Gavin Connor. I want to read out Gavin Connor's comment, just stumbled across this. It's awesome. I love these movies. That opening scene at midnight kills me, where he's saying goodbye to his son. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, where you see the distraught demeanor that he has, where he doesn't like how his life is going, even though there's a lot of great things going on. He's got these beautiful two daughters that are twins. You know, he's been with the same woman for 9 years, although they are not married. And a lot of people make this mistake of saying they're married. They're not. They mention this in the chapel that they go into. And it's like, he asks Celine, what do you tell the girls when they ask when we're married? And like, because they want to, have that memory. And she says what their memory or of their wedding was like. And she said, oh, I tell them it's low key. Okay, well, one, that's a lie, because it didn't happen. And then he even asks, like, do you want to get married right now? He said, no. But yet they talk to each other as if they are married. She's speculating about how long can you handle me? What's it going to be like in 50 years? It's like, you just think, wow, well, why aren't you married? What is it? It just goes back to the whole thing of that Ethan Hawke spouts about, I don't want to be in an institutionalized... Again, that he just has these little pockets of pretentious things that he says. Otherwise, overall, like, he's a great character. Like, he's very likable and he's charming, as Ethan Hawke is, but they're just these little pockets in every movie where he just says something that is just, that's horseshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like
oh, go ahead.
I it's just quick. I just like the fact that all three movies, I think they're both like sexy. They both have good sex appeal, all three films. I think that's one of the things that makes it work, all three. They're all like, I can believe that both of them are like sexually attracted to each other. It's beautiful.
They spent a long time figuring out who the two actors were going to be. Richard Linklater, when he was casting the film, he interchanged people and actors. He paired up yada yada and had different actors in mind that he still won't say who was who, yada yada. But he picked the right ones, and here we are 30 years later, just about talking about this franchise and how great it is. Megan, let's get your take about the rating for...
I have just a couple more things. So definitely in the third one, I see it as more of a power struggle, where they want the last word. They want to be able to kind of bring up these things that have been boiling, that we haven't seen, that have been boiling. I think over the course of a couple of years that they aren't bringing up, and it definitely explodes when they're in their hotel room, and I definitely see that the catalyst for them starting that huge argument is the conversation that Celine has with Jesse's son. Oh, he's safe, okay. And twice, Jesse even brings it up. Twice, you didn't let me speak to my son. You've hung up the phone, and I didn't get to talk to him at all. And so that prompts him to start an argument. Oh, yeah. And then they can kind of really hash everything out at that point, where, well, I don't agree with his mom. She's a drunkard, which I think this is the first time that we really hear it. She's a drunkard. And so, have fun with your mom, almost as like a dig to her. And rightly so, that Jesse would feel upset that this is the mother of my child. I don't think that you should say that about his mom. That would be an understandable thing for anyone, any person, to not pit their kids against parents. So that was interesting. And then I remember watching this with Kyle, and I felt so claustrophobic in that whole room. And I got so annoyed at Celine, because at one point she gets up and she leaves. She takes her bag, she takes the key, and she leaves. And then there's a beat where Jesse is laying face down on the couch and just like, okay, this is what it is. I guess this is it. She's going to be upset at me. And then she walks right back in. And actually...
that is very real, because, going back to what I said earlier of how I was around about 6 sisters, and my mom, I witnessed multiple women do that. Do just that, where they're in the middle of an argument. One of them storms out the door and say they're leaving or they're getting in the car. 2 minutes later, they bolt through that door and have a comeback or some retort. You know, to add to it. It's a real thing. It's absolutely a real thing. Very close to home, you know. But Megan, no, go ahead, Cammie. Well,
no, I was just saying. I feel like women, it's like a false leave. Like, oh, I'm mad. I'm gonna show you, like, I'm leaving, but then not. You know, so it's like this level of immaturity at the time. I don't know where people are at when they do it. You know, it's like,
It's almost as though she was waiting for him to run after her, and when she didn't get that validation that he's not running after me, oh well, now I have to come back in because now I have something else. But then that goes back into the power play. Well, now he's not coming in. He's not coming out to get me. Well, now I have something else to say. And that's what annoyed me. I was just like, Celine, just leave. Just leave him alone. Why don't you guys both kind of regroup? But that's not what she's used to. And that goes along with her character. It's definitely out of character for her to just leave and be able to reflect. She has to be at odds almost. Like that's what her norm is. She has to prove that she's strong. So,
but overall, because we've gone
a
little over 3 hours, and
we are running out of time.
I mean, this is the way it is in these streams. So, Megan, to contribute to the tier, first off, you did rate Before Sunset.
Yes, I give it an Before Sunset. Was that the first one? No, the second one. I said that was an 8. Yeah.
It's going to stay in that place then. So now we're all in the same situation right now. Ben, you said True Love for 3 for Midnight.
Yeah.
Cammie, you said...
I didn't actually rate this one, but I'm curious to hear. I don't want to be I feel like I'm going to be the Debbie Downer of this.
No, you're not. No.
Megan, go.
No. Okay, I would probably, it sucks because my emotions are going into it. You know, I wouldn't have handled it that way, but I love the ending. I love the fact that there is that he goes back to being that romantic to try and to woo her again. And he's playing into his old self at the first, the first movie. So I love that where he, there's this, this letter from your future self, because they've alluded to that previously in the beginning. What are we going to be like in 50 years? Are we still going to be married? So he plays into that again. It's a great way of kind of bookending everything. So
real quick though, we're going to read this line by Gavin Connor. Yeah, it gets a bit too real in the third one. Still brilliant because it's so real, but less fun to watch. I don't know. Is it less fun to watch? Is that a way to describe it?
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Depends on what kind of entertainment you're into. Like, do you like nitty gritty? Do you like everything to be? It's hard. It's painful to watch, especially if you've been in like really some toxic arguments or have had some.
Random Ray agrees. He agrees with Gavin.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I feel about it. But like, you have to admire the scenes and the script work and the characters. And I do like what Megan said about the end. It's really nice that he did come out there and tried to make it light and win her over in a sweet way. So I did like that.
It's charming. It's charming, and he does approach her in the way of who he was in the first film, and it's. What's beautiful about the trilogy, and what would be a mistake is to continue this, is because the third film wraps up in a closed loop, because he picks her up again in the same way that he does in the first film. And he presents to her the scenario of time travel. Remember in the first film, he says, jump ahead 10, 20 years. And you're married. Oh, and your marriage doesn't have the same kind of spark that it used to. You start to think about all those guys you used to, blah, blah, blah. And what might happen if you pick up with one of them. By the way, I actually failed. This is a little, tidbit. We'll reach out all the way into the past in high school. When I was in high school, I did an acting class, and I tried to perform that pickup scene poorly, I might add, because I was just, not comfortable with myself, and I probably delivered it not... what might have happened if you picked up with one of them. And I'm one of those guys as I'm reading the script, you know. But but it's that the reason I try to do that is because it's a great scene, and it still is a great scene. It may be the best pickup scene in a movie, but it does go full circles to the third film, where he does pick her up essentially when they're in their early 40s, and the camera pulls out to show, you know, them on the dock, the cement dock, and she's now indulging with him in this scenario, and it feels hopeful. There's actually some score that comes in, you know, which is rare for these movies. And I think it's more hopeful than it is a downer ending, which a lot of people have said is like, I don't think they get back together. I think they break up. And this is kind of their last night before the next morning, where they have the realization that this isn't going to work out. And I just don't think so. I think that they're still fighting to stay together, and they just had a really bad night. And I think that's what, because we saw them when they were in the car together, they had a little bit of tension here and there, but they work well together.
Yeah, they're not at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't personally agree with some of their relationship dynamics. Doesn't mean it's not their own, you know, because there's couples that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like guys that are like out of the military or that maybe have a little bit of PTSD, they kind of like women that are a little bit intense. That kind of keep their.
Yeah, Gavin also says, and he's right about the full circle aspect, is that he loves that they become the old couple arguing on that train, the German couple. It's true. This is it. I trust that Linklater was telling the truth. Like, he didn't plan this, right? But yet he found a way to connect these threads to the second, back to the first, and it works so well. This is one of the best trilogies of all time. In the ranks, I will mention to people in YouTube comments or Facebook, whatever, in real life, this will be in the conversation for me of, you want to ask me what the best trilogies of all time are? Well, you got Lord of the Rings, you got, you know, what's another example of a trilogy,
Back
Ben?
to the Future?
No, you're right, Cammie. I would say that, yeah. Back to the Future is another one. And I would say in the same conversation, the Before Trilogy. Watch those because it's one of the best trilogies of all time in cinematic history. It's not, you know, it's not in the same budget, but that doesn't matter. There's a video that I made a few years ago about the Oscars, and it touches upon, you know, the best, which movie won, and my thoughts on that, and also the Will Smith slap. But at the very end, I do this, you know, inspirational speech about like what makes a great film and all that stuff. And I said, spectacle is not just exclusive to a big budget movie. I reference these movies and I say, a movie like Before Sunset or Before Sunrise has element of spectacle as well, of these two people connecting. It's like it's a different context, and I think that still holds true. But Megan, you did not rate the movie yet. Rate the third film. Let's go.
Okay. I would say it would be an 8. No, I would say a 9. I like it better than the second one.
All right, let's Cammie, you're next because you didn't say anything. So what do you got?
So, I mean, I ranked the second one at a 7. I might go like 7 or, well, I might go 6, honestly, if I'm to be honest. But I don't want to jut the rating in here because I know you guys love it.
Don't worry about that. Honest review.
Like, I'm happy that it ain't entirely your Kool-Aid. That's okay.
Yeah.
So you said a 7?
6.
6 to be honest.
Whoa.
I know.
You don't like the arguing, do you?
No, I'm fine with the arguing and I'm fine with real stuff. I like movies that have some kind of like redemptive arc in it that is uplifting in the end, and maybe that's my positivity, like being like, let's make something. But the end was good. The end was positive.
That's my question: is do you think they stay together?
I do. Yeah, I do.
But then how is it not hopeful?
That is hopeful. Yeah, no, it is hopeful. And honestly, this is so corny, guys, but I almost just as my little filmmaker and me would like to see another one with them like very much aged because no film has ever done that, and that would be so cool. If they did it in like 5 years from now, or maybe even now, like I don't know if they're old enough, but it would be kind of cool. They could call it Afternoon, which is really corny.
It would be cool to see them as grandparents.
Before Afternoon.
Some grandparents vibes, daughters getting married vibe, son is a young dad vibe, something.
A little bit of Father of the Bride, Linklater style. He's giving away like one of his twin daughters to a guy.
Yep, spawns a new trilogy. Could go on forever.
So let's clarify. Okay, so Cammie, you're at 6 for Before Midnight. Megan, you're at 8?
No, 9.
9. Okay. Ben, you're at True Love, 10.
Yeah.
And
trilogy.
I am as well. So
Your True Love for number 3 too, Kyle?
Yes.
Oh, Kyle.
Because I appreciate the realism of those interactions because they are true to life, even though they're semi-uncomfortable, not terribly uncomfortable for me because I've seen things. So what in terms of math, what does that go to? I think it goes to 9. I think you just knocked it down to 9.
Yeah. I would say because it's all very positive on your end. And guys, I will admit sometimes I need to ruminate on movies for a while, and then I'm like, oh well, actually.
But that's interesting when you look at this. When you look at this rank.
His Che cat.
Oh yeah, I didn't say it, but yeah, you have a cat, and in Before Sunset, Ben, did you think about this? Celine has a cat named Che.
That kind of girl.
Yeah.
Cat lover.
Yeah.
Cat freak. Whoop, whoop. No, I actually just had a moment where I got a little spooked out. My kitty, she was napping at my feet this whole time, and then it's like she got on the desk, and all of a sudden she went into she got really scared, and that's why I turned the light on behind me because she was just staring with absolute fright towards the darkness of the rest of my apartment, and I'm just like, yo, it creeps me out. I feel like cats can see things that we don't, so sometimes I'm just like, what is she staring at? I've never seen her that scared.
This is what I like. This is a kind of conversation that would happen in a Before movie.
I have a question for Cammie.
Yeah.
Cammie, so would you have gotten off the train and still stayed with Jesse?
I would 100%. I think it sounds so romantic and fun. But the point that you mentioned about this day and age, of course, you think, oh, is that safe? Which is kind of sad. Yeah. But I think that would be really cool. And especially in a foreign country, I think you can trust it. And I don't know. I love it. I love the idea of it. I love the idea.
Well, they definitely had enough time on the train to be able to gauge each other and figure out, is he a good guy? Is he a creep? And he gives her that out.
A crepe.
The crepe that you can stay on the train, no big deal, no harm, no foul. But I have to ask this question, and I love that. That's so romantic.
Yeah, I love it too. Would you? I'm sure you would do it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's why I was curious in asking. Random Ray says the question of what everyone thought happened after the film cut to black. So the third film. Yeah, I mean, we kind of went over that in terms of I think they stay together because
they wouldn't have makeup, whoops, and they live happily ever after. I think it's fun to overcomplicate it, but yeah, I think they made good, passionate, hot loving, and they.
Oh yeah. Finally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Jesse's dream. I mean, damn, he was horny.
They could have made it earlier, but they decided to get into the fight.
Well, I definitely.
What if that whole fight was literally just them being sexually frustrated? Isn't that kind of funny to look at it? You're like, maybe that's the problem. They let themselves start fighting, and yeah.
Well, I think the good thing is that they've aired everything out at this point, all the grievances, all the issues, and so now they really can do nothing else but really reflect on everything and grow.
They still need to figure out the Henry situation.
Yeah,
that's still at hand. That's the thing.
I think that they would still stay in France, but maybe he would travel to the U.S. a couple more times as opposed to staying in France. I mean, he has the luxury of being able to do that, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if his books do really well, then he definitely can. They can hire a maid,
Although,
or not a maid, but a nanny to look after the girls while she's at work.
one
That's
thing
what I
does
don't
need
get.
to be pointed out about
I
Jesse
thought they
and
had
his
enough money.
books.
Yeah, they should have had enough money to be able to hire a nanny to be able to help out with the girls.
Well, hold on. So, This Time is the name of his first book, recapitulating the events that happened in Before Sunrise. He then wrote a sequel, recapitulating the events that happened in Before Sunset, called That Time. And then his third book, which is just, I hope that it was just Linklater and everyone being self-deprecating, because he wrote a book. And he said, he's asked, like, what was the title of that book? I thought it was like really, I couldn't remember what it was. And he says, temporary cast members of a long-running but little-seen production of a play called Fleeting. That's the name of his book. And it's just like,
wow,
that's absurd. That's like, that has to be a self-deprecating like parody of novelists that are really pretentious. It's just,
in that book, is that the one where he talks about the different people that have different ailments? Like one doesn't recognize her or
Yeah.
himself in the mirror.
persistent deja vu,
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
That was really cool. That was interesting. I would have loved to read that book.
Well, you do you. I'm not going to read that. There's a line I don't want to cross in terms of like people being pretentious and just going into, avenues that are, there has to be a base of realism. That's why I love these movies, is because they're based in reality, yet have a little bit of heightened fantasy, but it's able to be accomplished. The first film, we can all go out and have a night where we're on the town or whatever and stay up until sunrise. And when we were younger, that was way more possible, obviously, because, we didn't have commitments as we do today, or, we're looking for someone to love, etc. Yeah. And that brings back, warm feelings of when you were younger and seeing the first film. So I do love the first film the most. But yeah, so everyone, this is the last glimpse we'll have of the ranking and the tier. They go, they're connected to each other. It goes, the first as stands in True Love. Number 9 is Before Midnight. It rates it at 9 collectively and on average with everyone rating it together. And Before Sunset, unfortunately, is below all the three. It's the least of them when we tallied up all 4 of our ratings together, which is interesting. I didn't expect that. I honestly expected Midnight and Sunset to kind of be next to each other. And it didn't turn out that way, fortunately. Before you go, audience, those who are still here and for the replay, would you take a moment to... Where is it at?
And hey, 2 thumbs way up.
Or whenever you can.
I really should have played that at the beginning. That was my first intention, and I fucked up. So, yeah.
I was just thinking that is actually awesome. You should put that at the beginning of everything.
Yeah. The plan is for future ones to have that kind of played sporadically, like 3 times throughout, at the beginning, the middle, and the end. So just to remind people. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of going to bring us to the end of the stream, and we talked about everything. I mean, there are a whole bunch of notes that I'm not going to get to, but it's... maybe in another time, maybe for a video, I'll save it. But before we go, Cammie, do you want to plug anything and what's going on your channel?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm just doing different stuff on my channel now. I'm still going to do reviews, but I segued into doing movie reactions, and I'm kind of enjoying it because it feels like a full-length review in a way, like just an honest just reaction of what's happening. So I'm enjoying it right now. So that's what I'm working on. I'm gonna release, oh my goodness, people are asking for old school films, and I actually really love that. So probably gonna react to War of the Worlds next. I just did Forbidden Planet.
Wait, the shitty one that just came out?
No, the old one.
Okay, good.
The very first,
good. Stop it. That was good.
We're talking.
Right.
No. You okay?
I know
he's
talking about
fucking with me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Stop it. All you have to hear is my goofy voice. I'm messing with you.
I love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gavin Connor. I love this guy. Gladly, this is great. Looking forward to watching the first part of this on replay.
Thank
Absolutely,
you for
dude.
watching, Gavin Connor. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Enjoy. Spread the word. You too, Random Ray.
Random Ray says, thank you for the productive conversation, guys. Really enjoyed the stream. Yeah, God bless you.
Thank you, Random Ray. Appreciate you, buddy.
We were glad you were here, Random Ray. You
You're
were giving great
you're-
input.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a ride or die. You stuck with us all night.
He was the
too.
5th member, you know?
He
of this
was.
stream. He stuck with it the whole time.
He was.
Well, I hope to see you on a future stream, guys. Random Ray, Connor. Yeah, awesome. We kind of interrupted you, Cammie. Was there? You wanted to wrap up of what you were talking about? You War of the Worlds,
Yeah, just watching some old school films. I'm gonna still review movies. It's been kind of a slow movie season. I don't know if you guys know, like in the theater.
I noticed this month.
Yeah, this month has been very slow. So it was kind of nice. But yeah, that's just me. I'm just enjoying. I don't know. I love interacting with people on my channel, and that's my favorite part. So yeah.
Yeah. What about live streams for
That's
you?
me. You know, I used to do them a lot, actually. I was doing live streams I would watch things. Like I had Mando Monday, and I was running through The Mandalorian with people and talking with them. So I am going to go back and finish Mandalorian Season 3 because I didn't. So I just like watching things live with people when they're coming out, you know, like new shows and stuff. So
Would you ever do a live stream where it's a company of people?
I would actually love to do that. And I need to,
You choose the movie or franchise, right?
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. And then I get, you know, like a little panel. And it was great having you on, Megan, too. I loved having that, you know, like 2 girls on here, too, with the guys, you know.
Yeah, only she's frozen again.
Oh, no. Dang.
That had a funny expression, too. It's very like...
Yeah, it looks like she's like
Let me see if I can
skeptical.
copy it. Let me see if I can copy it.
What?
Look, is that pretty good?
Oh, she just... Oh.
Oh, we lost her.
At least we have an explanation as to why. The phone overheated and died. It's hot out in Austin, Texas, everyone. So
It is.
pardon the situation. But we did it's a little bit of a dry run when it comes to this. We'll be better next time. And Benjamin, you're gonna post anything new recently? Just a shot in the dark on your channel?
So if anybody's seen my stuff, I don't like. I'm not what I call like a YouTube personality.
Right. But you have like acting scenes that you've done in reels.
I plan on pretty soon putting some more acting scenes, and then my first short film that I've written, directed, and starred in is currently in post production right now.
Awesome.
And I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be like a really solid, unique little short film piece, and I'm excited to put that in. And then
here's the question I want to ask you real quick: is are you going to release that short film on your YouTube channel?
Yes.
There you go. So there's everyone. If you follow him, you're going to be able to see him as a writer and director and an actor in his first short film.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, he did this his creation. He's done a bunch of stuff. He was in a Bud Light commercial actually 2 years ago. After the whole debacle with the you know who I'm talking about.
So part of the comeback campaign, the failed comeback campaign.
Right? Yeah. Benjamin was part of the comeback campaign for Bud Light. He was one of the actors in that commercial. So there you go. That's
very cool. I like that you're making your own thing and you have every creative hand in it too. That's awesome.
Yeah, Ben ain't messing around. He's a go-getter.
Very cool.
So
that means a lot coming from you, Bubba.
I think that's the place to... I always hate signing off. I always feel like I'm missing something. There's one more thing to do. But thankfully, there is an outro this time.
But Kyle, what do you have coming up? You didn't say.
Oh,
Tell
cool.
Viewers.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I am going to be doing a sit-down, not interview, but a impromptu view fireside chat with an actual war veteran, an Iraq war veteran, and we're going to be talking about a film that is a war film. I'll just say what it is. We're going to be talking about Warfare, the movie that was released earlier this year.
Ooh.
And I haven't seen it yet. I am interested in seeing how I feel about it. People have been saying that it's one of the best films of the year. I don't know. I hope that it is up to that ilk, but at the very least, we're going to have a conversation from somebody who has been overseas, who was in combat, and I'm going to be sitting down with him, and we're going to be having drinks and cigars, and we're going to be talking about a movie, and it's going to be I'm excited to do that because that's going to be very, very unique. I saw him the other day. We were starting to get into the conversation. I said, stop, not yet. We're not talking about the film yet.
Very
Save
meaningful.
it. Let's save it.
That's a really meaningful chat you're gonna have. That's really
No, because I don't see that. You don't see a lot of YouTube channels getting people on who were in the real world situations of a movie, that connects to a movie, such as something in terms of combat and the military, etc. So I feel very blessed to be able to do that, because he and I actually, we get along, and we've gone to cigar lounges together. Like it's for real, We've talked about movies. The only reason it's not the only reason, but there has to be a baseline of, and his name is Chris. He might be watching. He might be watching tonight. So hey, Chris. Yes, random key. It is warfare. Yes, he guessed it. I think
That's awesome.
I think he sent that out before I actually admitted it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be on because of the factors of, he's not only a war veteran, but we started talking about just movies in general. Like, he has a liking for movies, and he's seen movies, surprisingly, that I didn't expect him to have seen. And I even sent him, the movies to watch tonight, So, yeah. Cool. Gavin Connor, it was great. Powerful, maybe better, be a better word. Super well done, in my opinion, of course. Yeah. So, and Megan, Megan reiterates big thanks to Random Ray. Sorry, Gavin Connor, great chat tonight. All right, guys, that's a great place to end it. And here's your little outro, and we'll catch you on the next live stream, maybe in a month or two. So, cheers.
Right, sweet.
Cheers, guys.
Now?
Yeah. Say goodbye.
Hi.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Later.
Later.